Hello internets, hope you can hear me okay. It looks like you can. OBS has just updated their software and they're giving you better UV meters, so it looks like I'm okay for the volume. I don't want to saturate the mic like I have done in the previous recordings because, you know, I'm not very good at streaming. I'm trying to learn as I go, you know. So hello everybody, hello to Pat and anybody else who's listening live. There you go. Yeah, say hello in the chat there. Yeah, you doing? Too many crossbow. Yeah, hello. And also to anybody who's watching us in the future, obviously you can't watch it live, like Marcio and people like that on ZooChat who have to watch the translated version. Hello. I hope the translation picked that up. Today we are going to be doing Muvizu, and as you'll know if you've been using Muvizu, the only place where it is valid anymore really is over here in Anizu, or is it Anizu or Anizu, I don't know. But the official Muvizu website has become so slow and clunky, it's just, and they're not really responding to it, so this is sort of where to go if you need any Muvizu help. Here is where to go. Definitely. But we are going to do, hang on, let's move that back. And let me move my thingy over here, there we go, so you can see what I'm clicking. Every time I do that, move on my windows, I have to refigure everything. I shouldn't move my windows. Right. So today what we're going to cover is a couple of things. First thing we're going to do, because when I did the little poll on ZooChat, I asked everybody what they wanted to know about, and the number one thing everybody seemed to be confused about was render layers and how to take a Muvizu character and put them on top of real world footage. Which actually is not that difficult. I don't know why people are having trouble with that, but we'll do that first since that's what everybody seems to be having most trouble with, so we'll do that first. It's relatively simple. I'm going to use that word a lot, relatively simple, because everything with Muvizu is relatively simple. Relatively. I mean, certainly compared to iClone or something like that, it's relatively simple. So anyway, here we go. This is the worst thing in the world to see, a blank Muvizu set, just white space. Horrible. What you should do, I would recommend, is create a new set for yourself and call it basic set, essentially. So that when you're going to go in, you're going to do any work on Muvizu, you have something set up already that helps straight away. Hey Frank. From the Netherlands, eh? I've been to the Netherlands. I went to Amsterdam on a long weekend, if you know what I mean. Great place. This is my default sort of set that I start a lot of things with, just because it's already got ground and sky and everything already set up. It's got lighting sort of set up. It's got a camera set up. It's got some characters ready to go, and it's got this, which is I find very important. That is a default Muvizu character. That's as small as the scale. That's as big as the scale. So it's a good idea when you're doing your project or your set to work out what scale you want to use, because sometimes you're better off having everybody at this scale to start with, and sometimes you're better off with this scale. The reason you do that is because, as we all know, the effects in Muvizu don't scale. If you create a fire effect, you can't make it bigger or smaller. Sorry, I'm just reading that. There are a lot of tourists in Amsterdam. I was one of them, yes, wandering about going to coffee shops. Yes, I know. It's a great place though. It's a lovely medieval type city. You know, it's great. Although you do I almost got run over by a tram because they're electric and you can't hear them. You're walking along, next thing you know, the tram's about to run you over and you're like, I didn't hear that. Damn things. Anyhow, yeah. So this is a good way to start. Also, this here is a texture I made myself. I should actually post it on Anizu or something. And this is just a default texture I put on things. The reason I do it is simple. It's because if I'm laying out, say, a living room or a living space or whatever, and I want to put the couch over here and TV over here or whatever, and I try to lay it out, this helps because I've got a grid to start with, I've got a centre point, and also, as you can see, I've got transparent bits so I can see through it, and also it can go backwards, so I know which way the texture's facing, both in direction vertically and if it's backwards or not, which is important to know sometimes. It can save a lot of hassle later on. So just a little thing I would recommend you do. I'll turn the light off. Just because it helps basically to have some sort of default set that helps you for the kind of things that you build. So, okay, let's get on with it. So what we want to do is we want to take, let's see how many, tutorial. Bear with me for a second. So here is a bit of stock footage, and we want to have like at the end of the Hulk sort of thing, guy standing at the side of the road trying to hitchhike, and fails. Car drives by, and then he walks down the road. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in Muvizu. We want to add a guy there walking down that road and make it look convincing. Now the obvious thing to do is take your guy, maybe, yeah, go to a blank bit over here, so, and then take a camera. Where's the camera? Where's the camera at? There's the camera. I don't know why it's over there, but alright. Camera. There you go. And then you could sort of, you know, roughly try and gauge where the guy is, and then, you know, try and animate him and have him moving about. But the chances are that you're going to do that, and then you're going to find that it's not actually lined up properly with your footage because you're guessing. And that's not good. And whatever you do, you're always going to get the perspective slightly wrong. So what I would advise you do is the following. Go into your video editor, which in my case is hit film, but it could be anything, doesn't matter. Set that to the same as your footage. Just compose it. Okay. Import your footage, whichever the hell it is. It is, where did I have it? Right there. Nope, that's the library. Oh, it can get confusing, can't it? Does help if we go to the right section. As you can see, I've got various things for this. I'll try and get through it all today, but I don't know if I will because there's a lot of stuff to get through to cover all the topics that people want to covered, but I'll do my best. So we have our footage here of that. So what to do is get a representative frame. That's good because that shows us the angle of the shadows as well, which we've got to match because obviously we want our guy to have the same angle of shadows. You can work out the angle of shadows fairly easily because you can see the roof of the van there, at that point there, so you go from there to there, that gives you the angle of the shadows, which is about, it's not quite 45 degrees, but it's not far off it. So that, there you go, so you know that, which helps. What you do is you export that frame, and you stick it anywhere, it doesn't matter. Whatever, doesn't matter. Open up Photoshop, which I've already done. And open up. It does not. Where are we? There we go. In your layer, on that layer, set the opacity to about 50%. So you can still see it, but it's very faint. We'll do exactly 50. Just to be. Oh no! Oh, crap! It didn't like that number I typed in. Okay, try that again. 50. There we go. So we have 50% transparent image, like so. Save it. Make sure you're saving it as a PNG again to preserve the transparency, because the JPEG will not work. It has to be either a PNG or a TGA. Actually, would also work, but it has to be transparent anyway. I'm going to replace that. No compression. Close that for a minute. No, we don't. Okay, delete that. Right. Yes, you should see. You'll see exactly what I'm doing in a second. Hang on a second. So, here's a camera. Right? So what we do is we take our overlay, because we can overlay all kinds of things, and the basic image overlay is like binoculars and stuff. But you can overlay any image you like, including transparent images. Which means I can now line the shot up really easy. In fact, it wasn't far off, because all I need to do to line up the shot is line up the horizon line in Muvizu with the horizon line on my shot. And there you go. And it will work. I'll show you what I mean. As here is now the line here, that is the horizon line there. And I want the horizon line to match the camera. So I'm going to have to tilt it down a bit. See if I can get it just a wee bit flatter maybe. No, it's too much. Takes me a bit of jiggling about, but you get there. Oh, no, I need to put it that way. Okay, I need to put it flatter. There we go. And then, oh, come on, you, this just a little so easy. There we go. So let's just check. No, too small. Yeah, and this is when you have to try and work out again the scale of your character, because it's actually that's not too bad, but my character's now too small. There we go, I need to get more to the size of that van, actually a wee bit bigger. And then just rotate that until he's now a wee bit too big, but that's okay. No, in fact he's not too bad. Tad big. Yeah, that should do. Right. So now when I animate him or whatever, or if I move him back in the frame, as you can see, he scales correctly to the land, or it appears to. I mean, obviously he doesn't. It's just it's a trick. But anywhere I put him, it now appears that he's still scaling to that image, or he will. Obviously, that's just a static, transparent image, and it doesn't do anything yet. But when we put this here, this guy by himself, on top of this image, it's going to work. That's the trick. So, well, we'll leave the overlay on just now. You can also mess with the field of view and stuff like that, but I wouldn't do that just now. So, hang on, resize this down a bit so it's a bit more sensible. So let's say I want him hitchhiking, so go to prepare actions. I think never use your idle when you need that. I think there's one for hitchhiking. I'm not sure. I'm trying. No, there isn't one for that, but there is. Okay. Yeah, the image overlay is, that's why the image overlay is there. I mean, it's always been there in the cameras, but most Muvizu users wouldn't even know it's there because the tutorials don't really cover it, because all the tutorials, as we know, are kind of out of date. They don't really match the program in any way, shape or form anymore. Someone really needs to go through and do them all again from scratch, but that's a hell of a job. Which is why I'm here to help. I'm trying to show you all. Because the thing I should point out here is that what I'm going to do in this stream is I'm going to show you how I make films. Not how you should make films necessarily, as according to the official, Digimania view of doing things, or Marshmallows, or Marshmallow, or the company that owns it. This is how I make it. And I've been doing this since 2010, so I kind of know Muvizu inside out. I know it backwards. So if I'm going too fast, just tell me in the chat and just ask me what the hell I'm doing. But my way of doing things is slightly different from the prescribed way of doing things, shall we say. Because, again, I'm also, like I said on the hit film streams, I know already I'm going to be using this. I'm going to be using the hit film. Knowing that ahead of time means that I can do things with Muvizu that make no sense, but make perfect sense once you bring them in here, as I will demonstrate. Because the next thing we're going to do is go on about layers, because we've got the guy there, right? Lovely. Now, and if it, okay, and if we turn the shadows on, as you can see, lighting doesn't work. Okay, so let's get our light over here. One light over here. Get yourself over there. There you go. We've got a shadow, right? No. Okay, I think now we could use that, obviously. You could brighten this up and you make it big like that, right? But the thing is, when he moves, as you can see, his shadow is corresponding to that light. And we need sunlight, and sunlight doesn't work with that. Sunlight is, universal. So these lights, sometimes you can use it like that, like a sunlight, but you'd have to move it very far away, maximum distance, maximum all that kind of stuff, and it will still bend a little bit. So what to do is get rid of that. I said get rid of you. And create instead. Another feature that a lot of Muvizu users don't even know is there is directional light, which basically gives you a fake sunlight. Because it doesn't matter where you position this, it doesn't make any difference. And you have to turn off that contribute. Ambient shadows are the worst, honest to God. There we go. Individual shadows. And then you say, if I move this about, it makes zero difference because it's a directional light, it's just the sun essentially. And all you can do is change the direction of it, not the position. And that's exactly what we want because we want sunlight. So yeah, what was it, 45 degrees I said, roughly about. So again, you can use the picture over here, try and match the angles to match that van so that you know you're getting it right. Like so, there we go. So when I move him, oh crap. When I move him back and forward, and you see his shadow doesn't change, it matches the shadow in the picture. Ignore the sun here, that the background's about to get nuked in a second. But that's basically the shadow setup. The lighting's sort of, yeah, it's good enough. The thing is with the lighting here, again, knowing what you're going to do later on, with the grading and stuff like that, you can change the colour of him to add more blue and stuff to match the image in here. Because when you look at the shadows in here, you see there's a lot of blue in them. Because the image has a lot of blue in it. That's more to do with colour grading and stuff like that. And you can watch my other hit film streams to learn all about colour grading. Oh, did I move that? I did. Oh god. Must have moved that by accident. You see it's lagging a wee bit here. Ah yeah, you go. So it's moved it. Just move that too. Okay. It's lagging a little bit, so it might do some accidental clicks and drags and stuff like that. There we go. So again, the grading thing is something you do in hit film, and I'm not going to cover all that here. I'm just going to concentrate on Muvizu for this stream, not all the other bits, if you know what I mean. Just how you would use it with Muvizu. So we've got our lighting. Got shadow, we've got that. Now, if we render that, obviously we're going to get that, so I'm going to turn that off. Okay, if we render that, we're going to get that. We're going to get exactly what we see, which is no good to us because we need him isolated and we need the shadow isolated. There's two ways you can do this. Okay, I'll get onto the other stuff as well about all this other stuff in a minute. Two ways you can do this. I am going to show you the easy way because the other ways are just not viable. Layers, this is the thing everybody has problems with, I don't know why, but okay, layers. When you create anything in Muvizu, regardless, all this stuff here, all this stuff over here, automatically everything goes to the background layer. Everything in Muvizu automatically goes to the background layer. It doesn't matter how many layers you already have, if you create something new, it goes to the background layer. The one exception are lights in cameras. There are no lights in cameras listed in the layers. Lights in cameras see through all layers, so they're kind of universal like that, so you don't. This can cause problems if you're trying to get a lighting effect on one layer that doesn't affect another. You can't do that with Muvizu. I mean, you could in some ways, you know, with being clever about it, but essentially understand that the layers only affect objects like characters and, you know, objects. That's all they affect, nothing else. They don't affect effects, lights, or cameras. Okay? So, we want this guy off this layer here, this background layer, because we don't want the background layer. We want him isolated. So, we have to go out and create a new layer, and we'll call it Gordon, because he's called Gordon. No, in fact, that would be confusing. Call it Dude. There you go. So, and you notice as well in the layer there, it says separate shadows. You can generate separate shadows. I'll get to that in a minute. We'll just keep it simple just now, okay, with the defaults. Okay? So now, we have an empty layer, because there are no objects in it, and it's called Dude. Oh, I'll turn my lights off. Click on Dude, go to body, and his layer, as you can see, is automatically. Oh, there's I think I may have rescaled him there, but yeah, I did. His layer automatically is background, so put it onto the Dude layer. There we go. It makes no difference to the scene, obviously, but it now means that he's on his own separate layer, separate from anything else. Okay, which means that when we go to make video, we now have the option to have him all by himself, which is what we want. Now the problem is with this is you don't get the shadow. Even if you turn the lights on, the shadow is only going to appear on the floor, it won't appear with him. If you select separate shadows, then it will generate the shadows as a separate layer again. So you have the dude layer with him, and then you'll have a shadow layer, and then you'll have the background layer. And then it starts to get confusing. There is an easier way to do it though. I think there's an easier way, because all you need to do is this, right? And one other thing. Go to your environment. Go to the sky. Get colours and make it green, pure as green. So just turn off the red, turn off the blue, 100% green. There you go, green screen. Perfect green screen. Now the thing you want to make sure is, when you're doing green screens, is to check this one here, the illumination, because if you have lights turned on, then as you can see, it affects the brightness of the green. And that's not what you want. You want it to be 100% illumination so that the lights don't affect the green. So it's just pure colour essentially, which is the easiest thing to get rid of. The problem is, when you apply that to the ground and do the same thing, the shadow disappears, obviously, because we want the shadow. So with the ground, you have to turn it the other way to the absolute maximum. And as you can see, we now have our dude. And when we go to make video, we now have our dude who is isolated by himself, and his shadow and the background are now one layer, which is easy in HitFilm to just get rid of that green, and that leaves us with the shadow. We combine the shadow and the dude, and there you go. You get the shadow, you get the dude, you get transparent, background for the dude to put him into HitFilm on top of that footage. Easy. And I'm going to prove it because I'm going to do it right now. So let me just yes, yeah. But first of all, we've got to actually animate something, because we haven't actually done anything yet. Now I'll leave the lights turned off. What we'll do is we'll turn back on the overlay so we can see what we're doing. And again, having the green screen background makes it easier to see your overlay image as well, so you can see what you're doing. And you don't get distracted by the artificial horizon in Muvizu. Right, so where are we at? Right, so we'll do thumbnail lift. Okay, so actions, record. And the way you record actions in Muvizu is always the same. You just do action idle. Don't worry about how long it lasts. It doesn't matter. Just action idle. That's what you always do. Don't wait for the action to finish. Never wait for that, because then you're fixed. You can't change it if you wait for that. But this idle point means you can stop it at any point, because as you can see, if I put that there and I put that there, he leaves his thumb out forever. Or until he hits the idle marker, and then he puts it down. So that way, that's how you can control it. Always action idle immediately. This is why I was saying earlier on, when you do that, never use your initial one here, happy idle, because that's always your default to cancel whatever actions you've assigned to any of these pages here, and you get a lot of pages. Yeah. So you can assign a whole library of actions to the guy if you want. Right. So so where we're going right? Yeah, switch back to direct. So we've done that. So we'll do the guy. So he's doing the thing, and then he does the thing. There you go. So, and then right there, it puts it down. And it does. Maybe you can watch the. We'll guess where the truck is and just have his head look at speed. This is another one that nobody ever uses. This thing here, head look at speed. This one, if you don't turn that down, right, and then you try to animate this guy's head with a normal mouse set to normal settings, right, watch what happens. It's like, it just looks terrible. Absolute garbage. Just terrible. If you turn this down to a number less than 10, I would recommend always less than 10, unless you want to make somebody having a fit. And then when you move the mouse on this, even if you move it really fast, it still moves at a human sort of speed. It really does. So, Doctor Who, or Doc, Antoine, how you doing? Yeah, this is another one. And the thing is, I made them. I made Digipedia make it so it remembers the setting per character per set, because it didn't used to remember that, and I had to go into my sets with hundreds of characters and reset the look at speed for every single head. But they fixed it so it remembers this. So if you set the look at speed. Yeah, also, yeah, exactly. Your mouse can be set. I have a Logitech mouse which has a sensitivity setting. So another thing I'll do if I want a really, really subtle head movement is I'll turn this down, as I say, to less than 10, always less than 10. And then I'll turn the sensitivity down as well, which I'll do right now. Actually, turn that down to the low sensitivity. And as you can see, when I move my mouse, it's really hard to actually get anywhere because it's it's hardly moving at all for massive movements, which means that I can do really subtle movements, tiny little movements. It is so much easier, but it all depends on your understanding about the head look at speed, and that's where it does. Oh, I'll turn the sensitivity back here. There we go. So, oh yeah, that was get rid of that. So anyway, like I was saying, so I'm going to have him looking at the van, looking by, and then he'll look sad, and then he'll walk away. Okay, that's the shot. So I'll turn my mouse sensitivity down just a wee tad, and then so he's looking at, just looking at the van, and then he walks away. Okay. You notice it doesn't match the thumb up, but that's cool because it's a Muvizu. It doesn't matter. The only thing, well, we'll get to that later. I don't want to confuse the issue, but the point is, all of this is movable, so don't worry about your timing. Timing is later on. All you do is you slam all the things down, your actions, your head movements, your eye movements, all that stuff, and then sort it later. Don't worry about getting it right, you know, as a live performance. That's not how this works. So he'll be so I'll leave him with a little bit of lead in, so he's just standing there. Alright, so let's see. So give him a few seconds. You always want to leave him a few seconds. And then he sticks his thumb, and no. A wee bit more. No, sad. And then of course at that point as well, you can change his mood. The thing is though, what you have to do, I've realised that if you have him set to happy and you animate him walking, he'll walk happy. Weird as that sounds. If you have him set to sad, then he'll walk sad, or angry, or fighty, or wobbly if you're drunk. This is another thing that people don't understand, I think, about Muvizu. And this was something that they added. I don't think it did it originally, but it's something that they added. But again, Digimania never actually gave us change logs, really. So they never actually told us what they did to the program. But the thing that's something I found out is that the mood affects the animations, all of them. If you have them set to sad and then do a thumbs up, he'll do a sad thumbs up. He won't do a happy. You know what I mean? It's crazy how it works. But it's so flexible because it lets you do all kinds of weird things with the animations. But you have to understand the mood affects the actions. As long as you set the mood before you record the action. If you set the mood afterwards, it doesn't affect it, because even though I've set him to sad now, his initial, you know, thumbs up will still be happy because I didn't record it sad, I recorded it happy. I hope that makes sense. The translation is probably going to make no sense, but never mind. So he's in sad mode, right? And now we're going to do. I'm not going to direct it. All we're going to do is make him walk. So hang on. No. Just might do character movement. So right, now he's reverted back to happy, you'll notice. But that's okay because I've set his mood to sad. So when I record, it should walk sad. That's the plan anyway. So hang on, let's see. So let me get to a better position so I can work this out. So right, I can. So. There you go, happy, thumbs up. And just double click where you want him to go. Then he walks off. And out. Right. Right, let's see where he's at. So his face isn't happy, that's not in fact, I think actually, yeah. Try that. Nope. Yeah, the camera overlay, Doc, is just, nobody ever uses it. I use it all the time. I use it for my target and reticle, I use it for all kinds of overlays to get one shot to match another. UK Bentley does this all the time, I think, as well, because he does brilliant transitions between one shot and another shot, where he takes, you know, where you have the shape of one shot will actually match the shape of a different shot completely, and he merges the two, and I think he uses the overlay to do that as well, to set up, you know, the camera, so that he knows that that shot will match that shot. I mean, real directors do this all the time. I mean, this is not a new trick or anything. It's just a standard sort of thing. But again, you have to know that it's there. And like I say, the tutorials for Muvizu are lacking, to say the least. They're not being updated, and all we have really is things like this, where I can stream and show you how I do it, and then you learn about this kind of stuff, I suppose. So that would do. I mean, again, I would spend a lot longer on this if I was doing this for real. I'm just doing this for streams, so don't judge me on this. This is rubbish. But yeah, and you look, and then the final pass up, and then sad. They walk away. So he's not going sad. Why are you not going sad, mate? You're not going sad. He's not going sad enough. He's supposed to go sad. See, I set to sad. Oh, maybe. Oh, you know what it is? Because he's still on Happy Idle. Remember when I did the see? Because he's on Happy Idle. So all I've got to do is get rid of that Happy Idle and use a Sad Idle. See, so that it'll switch from Happy Thumbs Up to Sad Idle. Because I use a Happy Idle, it meant he was still happy as he walked away. Yeah, exactly. You can work. I worked as well. I like on the Fern set. For the Samovish. I mean, that's 3 days I spent on it. I did finish it incidentally, 3 days. It took me to finish it and place all those ferns. I think there's about 200 ferns. I'm not 100% sure, I haven't counted them, but I'm estimating about 200 ferns. And then what I did was, because I realised that there's no way I was going to do it anymore, but I could still see the edges of the set. So what I did was I took a picture, basically I took a screen grab of the ferns from a distance, you know, of the skyline of the ferns. Went into Photoshop and then made that into a backdrop and then just put that in so that it looks like there's tons of ferns, but it's actually just a picture because, you know, the machine was starting to cop out at that point. So anyway, we'll direct our actions and we will do a sad idle. So again, just get after that. Again, doesn't matter when you do it, you can always move it later. And then just give him a sad idle. There you go. And then just put that before it. And then let's see. Watch the thing go by, and walks off. And there you go, he's doing the sad walk because he's on a sad pose. His attitude at the moment is sad, so he'll do sad. And he walks off. Oh, actually, no, didn't do that. Just the perfectionist in me have to do his eyes. Sorry. Again, this is another good one for having the low mouse tracking speed if you can turn it down, because the eyes tend to move too fast with the normal mouse speed. So if you turn your mouse to its lowest setting, there you go, that's me moving the mouse as fast as I can, and it's about normal human speed. Yeah. If I turn it to normal mouse sensitivity, it's just too fast. It's very hard to get any kind of subtle movements. So let me just turn the mouse speed down. Oh god. Oh, the problem with turning the mouse speed down is, of course, it's very hard to navigate. Stop. There you go. Sometimes it's better also to let go of the mouse so it'll give you a break in the eye look at. So yeah, again, it makes it easier to position stuff, but and then walks off. Awesome. Right, that'll do. How long was that last? Let's see, I just want to check how long my clip actually lasts. So 31 seconds. All right, so there you go. So as long as it's 20 seconds, that's fine. Okay, we are ready. So obviously, what do you do when as soon as you're happy? What have I hopefully got you into the habit of doing now? Yes, you save it. Always save it. I keep on going in the wrong direction. You always save before you do anything, especially when doing stuff like this. And call it something else. No, just call that our test. There you go. Turn that off. There we go. Now let me just check my shadow settings are about halfway. For this, that's fine because the shadows, you can see the shadows are a little bit blobby. Obviously, the higher that goes, the better the shadow you get, but the longer it's going to take to render. Usually when you're working on a set and you've got the lighting turned on, you want to have that about halfway usually. Otherwise it gets really slow. And you only turn it up just when you're going to render, you whack up to 100% and then hit render. That's usually what you do. For this one though, just because I don't want to keep you waiting on the old stream here, I'll just turn that down a bit halfway. The ambient occlusion and stuff, I can't really show you on this set. There's not enough here to really show you properly what that does. I'll do that on the main set that we're going to build in the second half of this stream. This is only the first half, you know. Got a lot of learning here. The shading is for you can turn that to a crappy toon shader, which obviously I've never used. I don't like it. It looks terrible, so I don't use it. Also, whatever you do, when you're using Muvizu, golden rule of the environment, turn this damn ambient shadow off or down to almost nothing, because if that's turned up, you get this crap, which I don't know. I don't even know why that's there. Honestly, it's something to do with the way the Unreal Engine does a very cheap sort of quick lighting system, but they left it in Muvizu, and obviously you never. I mean, that looks awful. Never ever use the ambient light, and this is why my lights are always set to not use the ambient light. They're always set to directional individual shadows. I never set it to ambient shadows. I never use the ambient system in Muvizu ever, which is why my movies look the way they do, because I never use the ambient lights ever. Just don't use it. Just, no, forget it. You have a little bit, just a little touch. Sometimes it helps a little bit on the face and stuff like that. You know, you can add just a touch, but generally speaking, it's just terrible. Don't use it. Seriously, don't use it. Okay, so enough lecturing. And we've got the resolution set. Yeah, so we're ready to go. I think we've only got one camera, but yeah. So there you go. Now this thing, the depth pass I don't need to use. I will get to that in the second one. We'll go do that. Same with the cutouts. Flattens just means that you get, you flatten out the layers. I mean, that's fairly self-explanatory. Now what we're going to do is just leave it exactly as is. We don't need to turn off the background, well, because the program is automatically going to separate the background from our little dude. So that's fine. The other thing was, yeah, I forgot to mention, was I'm setting it at that because that's the same resolution as our footage in HitFilm, so that makes things a little bit simpler. Also, this is the obviously registered version, so I've got the watermark turned off. And I'm using image sequence, and the reason I'm using image sequence will become obvious in just a second, but I would always recommend you use image sequence, always. There are so many different reasons for it. I'll just show you, because in case you don't know, the difference between using AVI and MP4 essentially comes down to quality. If you just want to make a video quickly, or just a test, or just something you just want to quickly throw up on YouTube, MP4 is the way to go. If you want to make something that is really much higher quality, but you want to keep it as a movie file for use in an edit or whatever, then you'd use AVI. You wouldn't use AVI to upload to YouTube necessarily, because it's not the kind of format it likes. It'll warn you about it and bitch you about it and say, nah, I want a streaming format. And MP4 is a streaming format. So that's essentially the difference. But I don't use either. I use image sequence, so there you go. And the reason I use image sequence, I will show you in just a sec. So we'll put this onto the desktop. Never put it to a raw sort of, nothing. I'll create a new folder for it. And I'll call that test dude. There you go. And then inside test dude, you don't need to name it or anything, just leave it, and then off it goes. Now the reason why you use image sequence is really simple, and I'll show you why. Why have I got two of those on? The reason is, if I go to test dude, now remember it's rendering right now, as you can see, it's going to take 7 minutes, but look, I can see what it's up to. If you make a movie with this, you can't see what it's done until it's finished doing whatever it's doing, and that could take an hour, and then you discover it's wrong. If you do image sequence, you can come in here immediately and then start having a look and see how it looks straight away. And that saves a ton of time, because you don't waste time rendering stuff that doesn't work. As you see, it's just generating them. It's generating them. There you go. Come on, you. There you go. As you can see, the number here is counting up as it's going. So you can, I use Honeyview, it's a great image viewer, and I can just step through the frames as it's generating them, so I can see how it's going. And as you can see, every time it looks through, there's slightly more frames. Keep going, keep going. It's getting there, it's getting, and so I can review it as it goes, which again is a great time-saving thing. I would recommend it highly. Oh, another thing that I should have done, sorry for it. Before you render, always turn your camera view off, because it has to render this as well, and this slows everything down. So always turn your cameras off as well before you do it. This is a fairly simple render, so it's not going to be that bad. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice that. Pat, what are you saying? What did you do to get there? To get where exactly? You have to be more clear. Which bit? Sorry. Which bit did you not see there? Oh, the rendering process was just because I just went into Explorer, just as you normally would, and you can just double click on the images and just see them. I mean, you just open them up in Image Viewer. The way I'm stepping through them is because I'm using Honeyview, which is a great little image viewer, and I've set up my forward and back keys so that I can just hold down the keys, and as you can see, it just scrolls through them like that and gives you an almost real-time representation. So I can see how it's getting on so far. There you go. So I'm up to 209 frames, 219. So that it's just, you can use any image viewer, and I just like Honeyview, but you can use anyone actually. In theory, it doesn't matter. That one's up there. You there? Close your head. That's better. Yeah. Oh. Yes, exactly. Yeah, because they're frames. I mean, that's the thing. But that's what I'm saying. That is the beauty of using frames rather than AVIs or MP4s. Is you have to wait till the movie's generated before you can even check it. Whereas with image sequences, you can go in straight away. I mean, as soon as you start rendering it, you can go straight away, look at the first frame, and immediately know, oh, well, that's screwed up, and then stop it, and then go fix it before you try render it again. So you can check it immediately. Again, there's so many advantages to using image sequences. The other obvious one is that if you have only one frame that's wrong in an image sequence of 1,000 images, then you take that one frame into Photoshop and you fix it. You know, I mean, it's not going to affect anything. It's just a sequence of images. So you can take one image out, change it, and put it back in again. It's not going to affect anything. Well, it does obviously in the way that you want it to, but you know what I mean. It makes things a lot simpler. It really does. It's a bit more messy, and that's why you have to be careful about making good folder structure so you can find things again. Because in here, you know, you've got, like I say, it'll create a folder for every layer you've got, and if you've got quite a few layers, that can get confusing, especially if you've got depth layers as well, because then you have to consider that. I'll give it a minute. It's almost there. Over here. Can close you. Stream's actually been quite good today. It's not giving me any warnings about stuff, which is good. Oh, come on, you. Yeah, that'll do. And that's the other thing. It's like I can abort it because that's enough frames. That's all we need, and that's fine. And it doesn't. If you abort an AVI, that's it. You've screwed the AVI. Whereas if you cancel an image sequence, fine. It just stops creating images. But you've still got the images. You've still got all the ones you've created so far. You know, they're still here. Just because I stopped it rendering doesn't mean to say that I've lost the film that I just made. Again, another advantage of using image sequences. This is the only way to do it. Seriously. There you go. You wander off. Hopefully following the curve of the road. And it'll stop at the last image that I stopped at. Fine. So, let's get you over there. So making sure that our light's turned off over here, so it's not slowing everything down. That's good here. Import an image sequence, not media, because media is always a complete file. An image sequence is, or what it's looking for is a folder. So you go select folder, not file. Oh no, because you see, you know, what did I do there? See what I did? Because I was trying to be smart. Because I didn't, because it's subfolders and it doesn't do subfolders. You have to go into the folder and select individual folders. There you go, and then it works. There you go. So stick the dude on top. Oh crap, missed it. No. Just being annoying. Okay, I'll do it that way then. Okay. And move that to the bottom. Right. There's a dude, there's a shadow, okay? So we can turn off the dude. Fix the shadow first. Easy fix. And here it is, because the keying in here is so good. Just bang on a chroma key. Select the colour you want to get rid of. And you're done. Now the problem with this, obviously straight away, is that the shadow is really faint compared to the shadows here when we advance the footage. You got, we need the shadow of him to match the van, or else it's not going to look right. Right, because it needs to be that dark. And as you can see, his shadow isn't anywhere near that dark, you can barely see it. But that's, again, easy fix. You can either go in and darken it and use colour grades and all kinds of other stuff, or you can just duplicate it, because it's, every time you duplicate it, there it is, every time you duplicate it, it gets darker. So, there you go. I can just keep on duplicating it, and so on, until it gets dark enough to do what I want. Or I can make a composite shot, with take all these and then, you know, re-render out just the shadow with the chroma key on the transparent background. There's different ways of doing it, it's up to yourself. But the point is, you can do that, then you make that a bit more blue to match the colours here, but you're not going to do all that. I just wanted to show you that's how you darken up the shadow. Add back in the dude. Okay, get your timing right, and that's obviously you drag all that lot and move it over a bit. Let's see, where's the van passing? Oh, there you go. You should be there. Ah, lovely. Right, so there you go. Now give that a go. So, oh. Okay. And then you wander off. You can also put in blocks and stuff as well. In the Muvizu environment, to block off his shadow or distort his shadow as he's walking by, you would make them out of green blocks, you know, again, solid green. And that would allow you to bend his shadow and stuff like that. In iClone they have a similar system, but they have shadow catchers. They're actually dedicated surfaces designed to warp your shadows into different shapes, which is really clever. And I wish we had something like that in Muvizu. That'd be great, because then I'd be able to bend his shadow to match, you know, if there was a plant there or something, a cactus or something, I could make it bend into that shape and stuff, which would be nice. But you know, this anyway is good enough. So hopefully that answers the questions that everybody's been asking about how you would get a Muvizu character into real world footage. It's not that difficult, honestly. It looks, I mean, okay, I've spent an hour doing this almost. No, but 45 minutes I've spent showing you how to do this. So 45 minutes demonstrating, rendering, and there we go, we've got a finished shot. So it's not that bad. And you can see you can make it look reasonable. Again, with a bit more grades and stuff like that, a bit more work on that. Go watch the hit film tutorials and go watch the hit film streams, and you'll see what I mean. You can make that much more convincing, even though it's actually not bad. I mean, even though it's quite quick and dirty, it's not too bad. It would pass, more or less. More or less. He's wandering out the road. He's a bit big, you notice, at that point. Again, because of scale, because it's not perfect. But that's just down to how long you want to spend. I should have actually scaled him up a wee bit more. But that's down to how much you want to spend, how much time you want to spend on it. And also, of course, I can just rescale them up in here. Again, I can make that composite shot and then rescale them up in hit film, so it's not a problem. If you've got the, let's see, I should prepare this first before I start speaking, shouldn't I? If you've got this kind of thing, then it gets slightly more complicated, because as you can see, the camera is not on a tripod, it's moving because it's handheld. You would do exactly the same thing though, because you still got the horizon line. The horizon line is really flat, but here's the horizon over here. So again, you do the same thing, you take an overlay of that, get the horizon line, match it up the same, motion track, you know, probably somewhere down the pavement because that's closest to the camera, probably something like that, or that wee dot there, although I think a guy walks over it. No, nobody walks over it, it's fine. So you'd motion track, maybe like a wee bit of the pavement here, one of these dots, so that wee white dot there, that'd be perfect, just motion track that. And then assign that to your Muvizu character layer, and then he'll move in time with the camera so that he will look like he's there, because you know he won't be static while the picture's moving, he'll move. Oh, there was a guy. So again, just like these people, he will move in time with the camera. So again, it's watch the tutorials on how to do motion tracking and hit film. I've already showed on my one that motion tracking in hit film is really easy. And motion tracking in most of these things like After Effects and stuff is pretty easy. Except Vegas. I don't know how Vegas does it. I don't even know if Vegas can do it, to be honest. But yeah, even in HitFilm Express, remember HitFilm Express supports motion tracking, so use that. And you can get really convincing Muvizu characters into video. And again, if you wanted to block them off, if you had, you know, like, the one that people always asked about was the old movie they had on the front page of Muvizu, where they had them walking out from behind a desk. Again, you just block it off in here. You know, again, you use the image overlay to work out where the desk is. You block it off in here, so you can block off him, blocks off his shadow. So you just, I mean, literally, you just use a block, you know, like that, and then just make it green. And then, obviously, what to not forget is to actually put the block onto the same layer as him, or else you won't be able to see it. Then it gets complicated though, of course. Is it blocking the shadow or not? And then you've got to start working out stuff, but that's for a different tutorial, I guess. So any questions about that process then? Because I think I've covered that. I think everybody should be able to follow that, hopefully. If you can't, let me know now, because otherwise I'm going to move on to the next part, because that's the first half. Let's block it. Yeah, good to hear, Frank. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is do a movie, a short movie from scratch. Well, almost scratch. Sort of lying. I've already made the set, right? Because I'm not going to do a set building tutorial because, as you know, if you're built a set in Muvizu, it can take many, many hours. So I've already pre-built the set. All I'm going to do is I'm going to build the characters, show you how I make the UV, although I'm not going to go all the way through that process because, again, that takes hours. And I've already made it last night. I made the UV, I made it to completion. So, yeah, exactly, Frank. Exactly, Patrick. This can become sort of a tutorial because what I'm going to show you now is how to make a movie from scratch, hopefully, including the dialogue, because this is the thing, I think it's, again, because of the tutorial showing people how to use the talk shush system in Muvizu has sent so many people down the wrong path. Do not use the talk shush system in Muvizu, it's terrible, it doesn't work, it's awful. I'm going to show you how I do movies and how I do dialogue, which is very simple, very quick, and always works. 100% always works, and it makes life simple. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so we're moving on to the second stage. What we're going to do is we're going to make a movie, right? From scratch, right now. And we're going to base it on The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Not the crappy remake, I stress. This one, the original BBC TV series. The best one, which had Marvin, the paranoid android. The proper paranoid android, not that crappy thing they had in the movie. I don't know what that was, but that wasn't Marvin. This is Marvin. Okay, so, and what we're going to do, I'm going to play the audio of what we're going to animate. And I'll leave the picture up so you can, because this is actually the picture from the scene that we're going to animate. We're going to change the background and stuff. It's not going to be exactly the same, but just to give you a flavour of where they are and what they're doing. Okay, so this is Arthur Dent. In case you haven't seen A Hitchhiker's Guide, this is Arthur Dent, who's stuck in space in his pyjamas. This is Marvin the paranoid android, who has personality problems. Okay, so you should be able to hear that. I'll just check and over here that you should be able to hear this. Okay.
Night's falling. Look, Robot, the stars are coming out.
I know, wretched, isn't it?
But that sunset, I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like mountains of fire boiling into space.
I've seen it. It's rubbish.
We only had the one sun at home. I came from a planet called Earth.
I know, you keep going on about it. It sounds awful.
Oh, no. It was a beautiful place.
Did it have oceans?
Oh, yes. Great, big, wide, rolling blue oceans.
Can't bear oceans.
Tell me, do you get on well with other robots?
Hate them.
I love that. Anyway, so, and there is Marvin, looking happy. He's supposed to be your plastic pal who's fun to be with, but they gave them genuine personalities, and Marvin's personality was slightly broke, as you can hear. So anyway, that's what I'm going to animate. And as you can hear, it's a dialogue between two people. Well, sort of people. Now, the first mistake people make is then trying to do it like the tutorials tell you how to do it, which doesn't bloody work. I'll show you why not. Let's take him, right, and let's make him our dude. He's going to be Arthur, right? That will just even name him. Right, you're going to be Arthur then. Oops. Oh, crap. Right, he is now Arthur Dent, right? And I want to give him half of that dialogue. So the way the tutorial will tell you to do it is this. You go to prepare audio, and you create a new audio, blank audio track essentially, and then you edit it. Now you can either use the ones that the Muvizu give you, which I have never used any of them because they're terrible. So don't do that. Import your own. Well, I'm saying they're terrible. They're not terrible. What I mean is they're not. They're very generic and they're very cartoon-like. They're not my kind of thing. So I mean, for other people they might be fine, but for me, I don't use them. Where are we at? Yeah, I need to go to. Yeah, I need to go to. I should have put this in the desktop, shouldn't I? Right. So here's the audio, right? The art of conversation, as I've called it. Load that in. Okay, so that is the complete 47 seconds of that entire conversation. Okay? Which I can play it.
Night's falling.
Right. Okay. So we now have an audio track loaded. It's got nothing to do with him just yet. So what it tells you to do next is you go to prepare dialogue. And for Arthur you select that. Okay. And then you... Well, he talks first, so initially he's talking, right? Switch to direct. Okay. And then what you're supposed to do...
Night's falling.
As you can see, it broke.
Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
There you go.
I know, wretched, isn't it?
But that's sunset.
Oh, back on.
I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams.
So the robot's talking.
The two
I
suns.
can mute him.
It was like mountains of fire boiling into space.
I've seen it. It's...
And so on, right? And then you get these things, the talk shush things. As you see, the first one never works because the program's got a bug in it, but never mind. Now the thing is, right? Now as you can see, it's loaded. There's the audio track, right? It's loaded in here. And I can move the audio track about. But these things here are, this talk shush markers. Now,
Night's falling.
you can only move them to within a frame of where you need them to, because that's the highest resolution you can get in here, obviously, is 1 frame, because it's 25 frames per second. So if you need to go halfway between 2 frames, you can't. If you need it halfway between those 2 points, you can't. Okay? You're locked to frames, which is not very good. Second problem you've got with this system is, if I move the audio, I need the audio over here, these don't follow it. They don't. They just sit there. You've got to move every single one of them to match the audio again. And of course, I've got to do that with Marvin as well. I've got to do this twice. This would drive you up the wall. I'm not surprised people have problems with this. Don't use this system, okay? This is a terrible, terrible system. Do not use it. The dialogue in here, forget it. Don't use talk. Talk shush is handy in a very specific occasion to tidy up things. In very specific occasions. Generally speaking, don't use it. I'll show you how to do dialogue. It's very easy. It will save you a lot of hassle. What you do is you take your original audio and you open it up in your audio editor, which in my case is Goldwave. So open up a second. I like Goldwave, I just like the interface, it's just nice, and you can configure the buttons and everything. And as you can see, it monitors. It can monitor the Windows system sound. So as you can see, it's doing that right now, so I can monitor anything and record anything live. It's great. So, oh, hang on, I'm on the wrong window. That helps.
Night's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
So, I'm messing up my windows. Give me a second here. There we go. I keep on losing the chat window here, and I don't want to lose you. Okay. Oh, come on, yeah. Again, I've got so many programs opened, it's not helping.
Night's falling.
Right. So, we have the entire dialogue here, right? Now, what do I do? Very simple. We save 2 copies of it. We call one copy Arthur only. Yeah, and then we save another copy of it, and we call it. Where are we? Okay, so let's do. Arthur, do Marvin first. Yeah. No, in fact, we'll do Arthur first because that's what we did. I rehearsed it that way. I'm going to do it that way. Arthur. Now, all you need to do is go through.
Night's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
And all you need to do is take it, because this is the Arthur only track, all I need to do is take out every time Marvin speaks. Not only that, but I want to take out every time nobody's speaking, because as you know in Muvizu, if there's any background noise, as there is a lot of background noise in this clip, as you can see when they're not talking, there's a lot of noise, the lips still move and they still flutter, and that's when you have to use talk shush to get them to shut the hell up. Whereas, you can cheat it, because all you need to do...
That's sunset.
Right, so that's when he starts talking again. So take out Marvin. Because that's just Marvin talking. Mute that. Now when I play this through Muvizu...
Night's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
And then Arthur's going to automatically stop speaking. It's absolute silence. His lips won't move. And then when he starts speaking again...
But that's sunset.
And again, there's a bit of silence there between that. Mute that. Again.
But that's sunset. I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams.
Yeah, again, it's very hard to simulate that in Muvizu, so we just get rid of that.
Wildest dreams. The two suns.
See, as soon as he stops talking, get rid of it.
It was...
You know, there's a little bits in between these little subconscious noises we make, which Muvizu has trouble with because it makes his lips move when he's not speaking. You can get rid of them all.
The two suns. It was like...
Yeah, it's a bit tedious, mate. I don't think this is really tedious, but believe me, this is nothing compared to doing talk shush. And you only need to do this once for each character. So it would be...
It was like... Mountain.
See? So I am not going to do all this because this will take a while. I just wanted to get you into the idea. So what you end up with are... Oh, not Leonard Cohen, no. What you end up with... I should get this more organised. Are the ones that are working. There you go. So I did this last night.
Night's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
Now when I give that to Arthur...
But that's sunset.
That's all you're going to say.
I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like...
You see? So every time that triggers, he'll speak, and every time it goes to silence, he won't. And that's talk shush. That's a much better talk shush system, because that means I just need to assign this to him, and it's fixed. That's it. I don't need to do anything else. It's done. Not only that, I'm not sure, because we need to go prepare audio. Get rid of that. No, delete that. Create a new one. Import our actual only Arthur. Okay. Prepare his dialogue. Select only Arthur. And now watch happen. I don't have to do anything. I just have to play it. Oh, get rid of those stupid talk shush things. There we go. So all I need to do now is play it. I don't have to do anything else.
Night's falling.
Oh, wait a second. Sorry. Yeah, because I deleted all the thing. Let me reassign the dialogue. Hang on. Alright, okay, and make it sure he's done that. Right. Okay. Sometimes you have to be careful.
Night's falling.
Oh, come on. See, you knew it, I went and screwed it up because I removed, because I'd already done the dialogue thing. I'll use a fresh character because that's probably screwed that up as well. There are still some bugs with the dialogue system in Muvizu, like I say, which is why I developed that system, because I just couldn't take it anymore. The dialogue system here is rubbish. So bad. And this is my way of getting around it, because this works, usually. I'm just saying it. Right, so he's definitely selected, right? Pair dialogue. Right.
Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
I haven't done anything. All I did is assign it to him and automatically speak.
That's sunset.
And no flutter.
I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like...
It's really annoying me now. Just turn his expressions. They always have those stupid big expressions. There we go. Try that again.
Of fire boiling into space.
And then Marvin speaking.
We only had the one sun.
Yeah. So let's just create Marvin and do the same to him. Give us a robot. Oh, a bit too close to that. Same deal. Back in. Got to prepare audio. New one. Import. Only Marvin. Yeah, exactly the same deal. Fine. No, I have to select them first. Prepare dialogue. Only Marvin. I don't have to do anything else. I should be able to now just play it. And as you can see, they automatically are lined up because it's the same starting point. If I need to move the audio, all I need to do is make sure they're still at the same starting point and they still line up. Which again is another beauty of the system. I can move it about and there's no talk shushes to worry about. It just, I can put them anywhere and it'll still work. Look.
Night's falling. Look, Robot, the stars are coming out.
I know, wretched, isn't it?
But that's sunset.
And that's how I do dialogue. This is why I don't understand all those posts on Muvizu forums about dialogue and how hard it is. Just do that. Honestly, just do that. It's real simple. But it makes your life a lot simpler because you don't have to worry about dialogue after that. That's it, done. The dialogue is sorted. All you need to do now is animate them. Because I'm not, that's it. Dialogue done. Yeah, next. Next we have to do costumes and stuff. Now, this is where it gets things get complicated. Because we need to make him look like Arthur Dent. And Arthur Dent, oh, I can close, don't need this anymore. Yeah, don't need any audio. Yeah, well, Frank, you could use the manual. Yeah, you could do it that way. There's all kinds of different ways you can do it. The point I'm trying to get across here is don't use talk shush. Use the audio itself to direct the characters, because the characters will respond to any sound you give them, or no sound. If you give them no sound, they won't move their lips. That's all you have to do, is just give them absolute silence, they won't move their lips. Give them anything that isn't absolute silence, they will move their lips. So you just have to use that to your advantage. And that's why I'm saying do it that way, because that saves a lot of hassle. No talk shushes are required, and it's done. You can move the audio wherever you like, you don't have to reset anything, it's easy. It's just a lot simpler system, I think. Right. Yes. Now, what are we doing? Yes, now, oh god. We need him to look like Arthur Dent, okay? Where the hell is Arthur? I've lost him. There we go. Right. Now, Arthur, pull up, actually, this is 4 prereq. Arthur, as you can see, is stuck in space wearing his his dressing gown sort of thing, and his pyjamas and his slippers. So we want our character to look like that. Now there is no, obviously, costume in Muvizu that look anything even remotely like that, which means we're going to have to make it ourselves. And this is another thing that is tricky for Muvizu. People especially come to it the first time, is thinking, how the hell do I make that? or even that, or anything. How do I make any costumes for a character? And then you do it through here through the custom texture, by loading up an image. Now they do have preset costumes in here. So you go to the man, you get various costumes you can stick on for various things, which is nice, but none of them are what we need. And you can't really, you can import other ones that you make yourself, but then you get to the question of, well, how do I make it myself? Well, oh hang on, what we done? Yeah, sorry, there you go. Well, this is when you have to now start doing Photoshop stuff. First thing you do, as you go to your, wherever you've kept your UVs, I keep mine in my cast because I made my own version of the UVs, because I'm like that. So go to your man UV, where is it? Yes. I'm sure you recognise this suit. It's been used about 1 billion times. It's just... Why does everybody always use the same damn suit? It's not even very good. But it's a handy thing to have something like this already, because it already gives you necklines and stuff like that. And this is the PSD version of it, so I already have the UV. I already have the UV in here. I also recommend you make a skin layer in Photoshop so you can actually see your UV. It makes it a lot easier to work with. So you can see how it's laid out. This is how all Muvizu characters are more or less laid out per character. Different UV for each man, woman, child, baby. Well, each character type has their own UV. I know most of you here already know this, but just for the noobs. every single one of these characters has their own UV set. Okay? Now, I'm just showing you the man one. There is lots of them. And I made my own ones. I'll show you in here. Well, that's actually... Well, no, I just got the resources. I'll show you what's in here. I've got in here. So I've got body templates, and all the body templates are just like this. That's the dog one, for example. And this is what you got from Muvizu originally, was just this, which is very hard to work with. Like, say, I'll put a skin layer behind it so you can actually see the UV, which makes it a lot easier. And it labels out, and this is the dog, obviously, and there you go, it's his snout and stuff, and it labels stuff to make things easier. You should be able to work out the shape, but anyway, but it's handy that it's labelled. So this is what you have to paint, or use that as your basis to then paint your dude, or beefy, or fat man, or your robot, or whatever you're going to do. Okay? Like I say, the default one you get from Muvizu is that, just that. That's all they give you. I expanded it a little bit and added fingernails, brows, and other sort of things. Because as anybody has seen my films knows, I do not use these stupid floating brows because they cast shadows onto the face. Your brows do not cast shadows onto your face. That's just stupid. Always hated that. So on my UVs, I have the eyebrows on the actual UV, which also means I can animate them. Because I can just swap out the UVs, which I shall show you later on when we do the animation. Because, again, this is another thing that most Muvizu users don't seem to understand, is this, his costume, you can swap frame for frame if you want. You can animate his costume. You can animate his face. You can animate anything on him. Animate his texture. It's easy to do it as well. Relatively easy to do it. There's that word again, relatively. Okay. So, how do you... excuse me. Before I start, get a drink. Yeah. So, how do you UV a character like this, and how do you get it to work? This is tricky. This is genuinely the tricky bit. This takes a long time. I'm not going to do this live, because this took, I think, 4 hours to do this one last night. So that is how long it takes. Typically for me anyway, even to do a quick UV, it takes me about 4 hours to do it because of the way it works. And I'll show you what I mean. This is all stuff I've been working on. Tutorial. Now, I've already downloaded some appropriate textures because, like I say, we have to get it to match Arthur Dent. So, what you do is you load up Arthur, and you load up your things that match roughly what you think you'll need. That is the kind of texture I need for his for the coat. It's not exactly the same, didn't need to be exactly the same. I wasn't going to go searching to get exactly the same. I just wanted something quick that was similar. This I kept, although it's not the same here, the buttons are good and it's on a similar type of fabric, which means I can cut those buttons out and stick them on and it will look okay. The slippers are good because I've got the complete sole. And as you'll notice on here, you've got the sole for the left to right, which means I can just, that's a cut and paste job, which makes things a lot easier. This I've got, what you want really when you're searching for images to use as references, you always want them as flat as possible, you know, flat on with even lighting. Because what it means is you can actually take the image and actually cut it out and paste. Because that's essentially what I did with this one. This was an actual suit from, you know, a Google image, and I just copied that and pasted it in. And then just distorted it a bit to match the Muvizu, you know, lines, the UV lines. But it's just a copy and paste job. That's what I do most of the time. That I had to draw, obviously, to match the line, because this is the bit that's really tricky. I'll get to this in a minute. How these UV lines match up is really kind of clunky, I think is the best description of it. So, let's see. Let's get... oh, I've lost me there. There we go. Alright, Frank. See, I mean, remember, I'm still going to go, so you don't need to watch this live, just come back and watch the rest at 1 hour 24. And yeah, watch how we get on. Because this is I'm going to be here for a while, so thanks for being here, I will say. So, let's just take off that, there you go. So, one line of black pixels there, I think. What's that? With Photoshop as well, this is the thing. See when you get that when it jumps and it won't let you do one layer of pixels. That's because it's snapping. You turn off snapping by holding down Control, and then you can move it one pixel at a time. There you go. Why is that not working? Should have worked there. select everything, and then copy, go here, and paste it. So we've got a new layer. I'm going to stick it under the UV, so sort of. Then I need to do, duplicate it, duplicate it. Guess what I'm going to be doing now? Duplicate. I'll try to build up here as a pattern that I can use. Now I know there's in Photoshop, for people that know their Photoshop, there is a tool in here to actually create seamless textures. But I always found that a bit awkward to use, to be honest. I never got it to work 100%. I don't know if it's just me, but I prefer to do it this way because as long as you start off with a seamless texture, you can just copy paste and it'll snap automatically to it. As you can see, it just Photoshop tends to just snap to things, so it makes it easier to just set up this, group all these, and then yeah, sure you've got your seamless texture. So this was the last one. Yep. Okay. The last one. No, is that right? No, there we go. Joey. Try not to click on the UV, I'll move that. There we go. So all those layers now, select them all, right click, merge them, and there you go. We have, sorry. Alright. There you go. So now we have a texture that we want to use. It's at the wrong scale though, because if you look here, he's got like, say maybe 3 checks sort of across half of his body there. So 1, 2, there's 3 checks, but it's massive, so we'll resize it down a bit. Oops. What did I do there? Oh, that's right, because it was in there. Yeah. Okay. So hold down shift. Oh, no. What is this thing doing? Hang on a sec, just give me a jip. Oh, that's why, because I haven't done that yet. Oh, I hate that. Right. Okay. So resize it. Resize it down, hold down shift. Why is that not working? That should be, there we go. Okay, I don't know why that's not working properly, but anyway. So resize that down so you can get 3 across 1/2 of them, roughly. Oh, I'm going to switch to graphics tablet here. This is when it's how a graphics tablet makes a world of difference. Right. So, and then you get, that kind of thing, and then you duplicate that. Okay, say okay, and then duplicate that one. And then build up your texture. The way you're trying to do is just build up the texture so you cover. Oh crap! Yeah, be careful. To avoid doing that kind of thing instantly, what's a good idea is to come up here and lock your layers, and that stops it. I'll lock that one as well. Okay. So you can't move it back. He says, I see it, but it just then moves the next layer down. So you have to be careful with that. But anyway. So you can use another UV like that, like the suit, even just to use the PNG, and you can use that as a guide so you know which bits to cut out and stuff like that. Okay, the tricky bit comes, okay, because that's fair enough. You can just do that, and you cover all of this, and that would make the top part. And you can do the same with the bottom bit, and then maybe cut it off there to give you your your bottom bit, because you can't go below his legs, because obviously. Well, Muvizu characters can use a sort of coat thing. If you've got the chemistry set, can do it. There is a coat in there where is it? Yeah, you go. So you get that kind of coat. The unfortunate thing is that you can't put texture on it, and I can't find the UV for it. So unfortunately, because that'd be ideal, because I could just put it onto that and it would look the part, but unfortunately I can't do that. So again, you have to compromise. So that's what we're going to do. Now, see this line here? This is a big problem for Muvizu. The middle line, when you wear a t-shirt or whatever, it comes down to about here. This is where your belt line is. But Muvizu don't use a belt line, they use a navel line. So that's where your belly button goes. Which isn't good, because it means if you've got a t-shirt or something on, it's always riding up too high. Everybody in Muvizu, everybody looks like old men because their trousers are riding up so high. So you have to get past that gap. And that is when the problems start, because this here, see these, It's going to be awkward to explain, but see these 4 squares here, right? That's the centre line of his body, right? Down here. Oh, in fact, no, I'll do. That's just fine. I'm an idiot. Hang on. I shall simply. First of all, of course, save it as something else so you don't overwrite your original. Tutorial, and we'll call it. We'll call it. Yeah. Right. Let's export that as a PNG. Here. Right, there we go. Now you can see exactly what we're doing. Now, like I said, there is the line you've got to try and match up. You've got to try and match up, and this is particularly awkward. With this, it's easy because it's just grey, it's fine. When you have a pattern, you've got to try and match that pattern there on the top part of his body to the bottom part of his body. And as you know, as you can see in here, this here has to match this up here. It would be much more convenient, obviously, if this bit here was up here and the legs were down at the bottom, because it would make more sense. But that's the way it is, you've got to live with it. So that's when the complications arrive, to begin with. So you've got to try and get this here, this line, switch back to, this line here has to match that other, turn that off. This line here, and the pattern on this line here that crosses this line has to then completely evenly cross onto these 4, just these 4, not these 4, because these 4 are his behind, that's his bum, you know, and that's the other side of his bum, and that's his centre line there. So this is when it gets complicated. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 there, but yeah, the other thing it gets complicated, just to make it even more awkward, is that those 4 there, if you notice, are not the same size physically as these here. They're actually stretched. The texture on the bottom half of his body is stretched more than it is on the top, because of, you know, trying to keep the polygon count low, I suppose. So that makes it even more complicated, because it means you've now got this doesn't actually, you can't just take copy and paste this up to there, because this isn't stretched the same way as this is. This is much smaller. How much more complicated can it get? Well, this half here of his bum has to match this half. So any pattern going over here has to match over here as well. So you've got to have symmetry that way as well. Not only that, this here is his back, you know, as in the back of his body, because there's his neck and that's his back of his body, which is, turn him around, so that line there, that's that exact line. I mean, you can do this all by counting the squares as well. I mean, you can do all that kind of stuff if you want to work all this stuff out, but the point is that you have to then make this line here on the back of him match those 4 on this side and those 4 on this side, you know. Not only that, these here have to match symmetry wise these, because that's his sides underneath his arms. Yeah, that's basically running down the sides of his body. So as you can imagine, this is why it takes 4 hours to get a texture to fit, because the symmetry has to go this way, and that way, across that way. So it gets complicated. If you've got textures on his legs, it's not so bad, because as you can see, there's the back line of his legs. That's the inside of his back of his leg, and that's his kneecaps. Oh, sorry, no, that's his kneecaps, and that's the inside of his leg. That's his kneecap there. So that one's not so bad, because you know where his kneecaps is. It means you can put seams on it. You can also tell this. Yeah, no, turn the skin back on. This is why it's handy. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, so that's his kneecaps there and there. That's the back of his legs. That there shows you the side of his legs. That's the seam line, basically, of your jeans, right there. You can see, because that's the front and that's the back, and that's the dividing line right down there. Same on this side, and that's how you judge it. Takes a bit of practice to get used to all this stuff. Seriously, the feet are easy enough. That's just a copy and paste job, but this thing here, absolute nightmare. So I'm not going to do all that, because you'd be here forever. So I'll show you what I did. I'll show you it completed. Based on all this, I just used these images, right, and all this kind of stuff, and I did all this last night, okay? Using all that as my reference. And so I'll just close all these, just to show you what I did. Come on. No, don't see it. Right. So when you see it's just the same body, I that was my starting texture that I made with the, just duplicating it over and over again to get that, and then made my texture and then got that from it, which is a bit rough. And also I wanted to kind of distort it a bit so that it matched the contours. I think it's better, so that it kind of matched that. I also tried to make it asymmetrical because there's nothing worse than having these perfectly symmetrical because that would look terrible. So that's what I ended up with. There's a bit. I wouldn't actually use this on an actual animation because, as you see, the seams are all over the place. I just got fed up with it last night, and I thought I can't be bothered doing this anymore. So I didn't tidy it up completely. Right? So excuse how slightly crappy it looks, but it'll pass for now. So you get the idea. That's how you do a UV. Okay, these match these, which was easy enough in that sense because these are straight barrels essentially through the arms. This matches this across here. I think what we'll do is we'll turn this down a bit so you can see the UV a bit. There you go. So that matches that, that matches that, that matches that, that matches that, and so on. These, although you can't see it, do match these along the back edge. And these four here and these four here match these four here, because as you see that's where it kind of splits. Again, I was just using the standard suit to use it. I used the kind of split on that because it looks the same, so that's fine. So that's how I got the pattern. Then all I had to do to tidy it up, which helped a lot, was put the trim on, which is his red trim that he's got on his house coat there, which makes it look a bit better. You can put some detail on it. The pockets and stuff like that were just, I just drew them on. I just didn't bother. I just made shapes, filled it in with that colour, and then just, same with these bits. Just very, very crude, really, in a lot of ways. And the shoes, same deal. I just copy pasted them on. That's it, done. You don't have to worry about too much about these sort of details if you're doing a quick thing like that. And then the last thing was the buttons, which there you go. See them there. Any buttons there. Just to row them, and again, you come down there, and then you have to have them continue on this bit to continue on the continuity. Okay. So after all that, if I turn off the UV, and turn off the turn off the skin, and then that's what you end up with. That's your UV with his with his quizzical expression. I've got one quizzical expression there. I'll just put him on his default. There we go. Default expression. There you go. And then you just export that again as a PNG, always a PNG to preserve your transparency, and then call him Arthur Dent or whatever. I always call it man or whatever, fat man, boy, to remind myself what costume is for what, because they're not interchangeable. Although a lot of people think they are. I've seen a lot of people using my man suit on the fat man. It doesn't work because it doesn't fit the body, but right. Sort of it. So all I need to do is here, add them. And there you go. Oh. Now it doesn't look right because he already has stuff on him. What you have to do is nudify him, as it were. So his top, no top. His legs, no legs. Feet, shoes, none. And there you go. Oh, I forgot a layer. Sorry, forgot your trousers, mate. Where's his trousers? There's the trousers. I forgot his pajamas. Those were really simple. All I did was, because in the original that, so he's got pinstripe pajamas. So all I did was I just drew lines using the UV lines as my guide. So that was pretty straightforward. That was a no-brainer, that one. So there you go. So re-export it, PNG. Dent. Don't worry, mate. Put the trousers back on in a second. There we go. There's a fair attempt at the costume. It'll pass anyway. For now, you get the point. As you can see, it's still a bit rough, but we're not going to see behind him. The other good thing about his costume was that he had the the kind of rope tie around his waist, which can help hide the seam. Belts are great for hiding the seams. I think that's why on Muvizu all the belts are the belts are there, because look at that, they hide that damn horrible seam. The one he's got, the rope one like that, which was red. red. Not that kind of red. I'll take the colour from his house coat. Close, but that. And there you go. And then you can move that down, and then just move that right on top of that seam line. There you go. Is that going to be? Yeah. It's going to be 1.1, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. It's always in between. And there you go. That hides that horrible seam line. Makes it look. Right, you can still see it around the back, but we're not going to see it from the back, so it's fine. So there you go. Arthur Dent now got a UV. He now looks a bit like Arthur. Where's Arthur? I've lost him. There you go. So there you go. So you can see his pinstripe jazz. Got his also, you notice he's got that kind of trim on there. Again, if I was doing it properly, I would actually put the trim on and spend the time to actually do it properly. But it's just a demo, so I'm not going to bother. There you go. It's close enough. You get the point. He's Arthur Dent. Now the face, as you can see those stupid brows there. Now, God, this bugs the hell out of me. The brows, okay, please everybody stop using the damn brows. The floating brows look so stupid. It is so stupid, just turn them off. And that means you've got a slot free to put in other things. Really, it's just, look how much better that looks immediately. And then the second thing to do, which nobody does, and I do wish they would do it. I mean, I know it sounds like I'm complaining here, but really, just, it's one of the things that's been bugging me about Muvizu for 10 years. No, not 10 years, or 7, 8 years. How long has it been? The eyes look stupid at that size. Never use them that size. It looks so stupid. So stupid. Scale them down to something that looks human, for God's sake. You know what I mean? That immediately is a much more relatable character than that. You know what I mean? It's just stupid. Just please, for the love of God, turn down the size of the eyes. And then lower them a wee bit into the recess. Give them a nose that isn't a cartoon nose. And immediately, oh God, and immediately you'll have a person who looks like a person, an actual person, like an actual human being almost. Well, apart from the stupid ears. I usually use the flappy ears and then reduce the scale. That usually works quite well. There you go. And there you go. Immediately, you've got a person that looks like a person, doesn't look like a joke, because the default characters in Muvizu look like a total joke. But I suppose they're supposed to, because they're supposed to be comedy characters. But there's a limit. And my limit has been crossed. So please, always, always reduce the size of the eyes. Don't use the crappy brows. Draw them on yourself, because that means you can animate them. A lot better than they can as well. So, well, yeah, that's not bad Arthur, actually. I didn't even try it. Well, yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, there's Arthur done, right? Let's do Marvin. He's not Pender, he's Marvin. There we go. Marvin is really simple. See now, this is when we've got to refer back to the photographs here, because Marvin himself is a very... What you could do in this, and I was thinking of doing this, because people were asking me about attachments. How you use attachments, and this would be a great demo for later on. I can't do that today because it would take too long. But what I was thinking I could do as a great example for this is you could actually make Marvin in Muvizu, because you could take the stick figure character, him, and then onto his attachment. Now, see, the only problem. Oh, crap. The only problem is I don't know. This is part of the limitations of Muvizu. Is I think he has limited attachments. He's got one for his hat. Actually he's the same as default character. That's great. So there you go. So you could put, like, say for example, on his arms, his glove, his hand. I could import his hand, and that hand could be that shape. Because Marvin doesn't really move. He isn't animated. His face doesn't move or anything like that, apart from the turn, which obviously the Muvizu character could do. So you could make models for each segment here. Because Marvin was designed to look a bit crap. That was kind of his deal. You can make each section and then attach each section to each attachment point on the arms and legs and head and chest and stuff, and then cover him up with Marvin essentially. With FBX things, and if you used FBX, you would get the shininess, so it would actually look metal-ish, and it would actually look pretty good. It'd be a long, laborious thing to actually get it to line up each time as you get the size right. And then when he's moving, you get a lot of clipping when the things interact with each other, but it is a possibility. But when people are asking about how do you do attachments, I don't understand why you would ask that, because to do attachments you go to the attachment slot, click on it and then import an FBX, OBJ or ASE file, resize it, you're done. That's attachments. That's how you do attachments. I don't don't understand why people are asking about that. That's how you do attachments. You just attach it. I don't know, is there something I'm missing? It's overly complicated about it. The hard bit is getting the models to work in the first place, to get the models to actually work with Muvizu in the first place. That's the hard bit. And I'm not going to be covering that today, because that is, well, that's a different thing altogether. Right, hang on. Just delete this wee guy. Right, go away. Anyway, like I was saying, Marvin is a pretty simple robot, and I actually created a fairly simple robot. His eyes are not that great. Let's see what kind of eyes we've got. Something a bit more Marvinish. Again, I'm not trying to get it dead on, because we can't unless we actually made our own custom models and stuff like that. Yeah, probably then. The other thing you always want to do with every Muvizu character is turn down the Dialog Expressiveness. Always turn it up too high. There we go. Which makes it neutral when you put it to 0, which is something I asked them to do. Well, nag them to do. Because I hated that even when you turned the expression down to 0, they were still happy. It's like, no, 0 means 0. 0 means neutral. There you go, neutral. You have to turn it up to make them happy. Same with sad, angry, or any of the other moods that you can put them into. Also, breathing. It was me that made them fix breathing so that robots don't breathe. You have to set it to don't breathe, but it won't actually do anything until you give them an action, but you set it there anyway. Right. So we'll just leave them like that just now. I mean, it's like, I can't really make Marvin, we'll just make something sort of like him. And even the bloody robot, his eyes are too damn big. I don't believe this. Turn his eyes down a bit. Not too much. Make them a bit wider maybe. I do wish they'd change this stupid little icon. Nobody even knows that's there either, you know. I'm sure a lot of Muvizu users don't even know what that is, or you could click on that to unlink these sliders. That should be a lock, but you know, like a lock, you know, like the image of a little lock. Would that not make a lot more sense than that? That makes zero sense. Anyway, sorry, I'm complaining again. It makes it a nice bit wider, a bit flatter. Oh, that's in. It's a guessing game as to what these things mean as well, what direction you're going to be going. Unfortunately, I can't make his eyes sort of sad. I'm not going to give him human eyes. They don't have angled ones. Oh no, they don't. Oh, there you go. Sorry, I was using the wrong eyes. I could use them. Those are perfect. Alright, what colour was his? Orange, right, so he's orange eyes. A better orange. A bit deeper. There you go. There we go. Turn the glow up because he does have glowing eyes. Yeah. Right, and that will do just now for a Marvin, okay? Now, here's the thing. Okay, I've made the set already. I'm just going to say that there. I've made the set already, like I say, I'm going to put them into, which is, as we know from the audio, is they're on an alien planet watching the sun go down. So, oh yeah, I know it means they're linked as in a chain, but that does not look like a chain icon. It looks like two little squares with a line between them. It doesn't look anything like a chain. And also, chain makes no sense. A lock would make no sense because it's a lock on the sliders. Therefore, padlock. I mean, duh. See, again, this is one of my things that really bugs me is UI. People design UIs with their eyes closed. Honest to God, it's like, just make it look like what it does. Is that too much? Am I missing something? Is that too complicated for people to understand? Lock means lock, so make a little image of a lock, not a chain. They're not chained together, they're locked together. Oh. I'm not arguing with you, Pat, I'm just saying this is my point of view. This is why I've always thought that was a stupid thing. I did ask them to change it to a lock, but they never did. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Now, we need these guys in the set we built, because I've already built the set. And the easiest way to do that, rather than put them into favourites and then using them all that kind of stuff, no. Just click both of them, right click, copy. And then load up your set and then immediately paste. That's it, that's all you have to do, to transfer sets and characters from one to another. You can't do that with characters or light. You can't do that with cameras or lights or effects. No, actually maybe we'll do it with effects. Yeah, you probably can. So here is my set that I have already made. There you go. Check the lighting's turned off, yes. Always make sure your lighting's turned off before you load up a big set, or else it will take forever to load. Just talk amongst yourselves while we're waiting. This is a set I made with Urban Lamb's mountains that she made for, I think it was a railway crossing set, I can't remember offhand. But they were nice mountains and they just made me, they reminded me of an alien landscape, so I used them as an alien landscape. Other assets in here she did was a conversion of Rhizome assets, which was I think a role-playing game or something, a massively multiplayer game that didn't quite work, or it didn't pan out. But the assets were still there, so she converted them over for use for Muvizu, and they're quite nice, quite alien. So take a minute. It's quite a complicated set. Like I say, set building in itself is an entire tutorial. I mean, if you've ever seen my sets, you know what I mean. Come on, you, hurry up. Thanks to those flame effects, I should have deleted that. That's the crashed alien ship. This is the set from Opaque Parts of the Galaxy, in case you're wondering. This is the one where the spaceman Bill crashes his ship and gets attacked by a blob. Dum-de-dum. Long loading times. It's because Muvizu is only a single core program, so doesn't matter how many cores we've got, it doesn't help. Yeah, we're almost there. And the thing is, I'm going to paste these characters into this set, and I'm going to load up the audio. The audio's already, as we know, synced up and done, ready to go. Then all I need to do is immediately start animating them, and then I can render the movie and it's done. It's a lot quicker to do it that way. Like I said, I mean, you try to do all the talk shush type things as well in a complicated set, and every time you open up the timeline you get these lags. So it's very hard to work that way, which is why I have a basic set to work on, because the basic set's got nothing in it, which means it's very fast to work with, and there's no lag on the timeline or anything like that. There we go, didn't take too long. So this is our set that we host. It's a crashed spaceship, and there's all the spaceman bills, which I built in here to make sure for, again, continuity. Always build your different versions in the same set so you can see them next to each other, so you know your continuity works. And what we'll do right now to speed things up a bit is, again, another thing that nobody seems to know about in Muvizu is if you hit W, or sorry, Control W, you get this thing up, the Scene Manager, which is a great handy little thing because it tells you several things. Memory usage for a start, which is good to know. I think it's quite high at the moment. I don't think that's... Yeah, there you go. Is that just this, or is that everything? I'm not sure. I think it's just this Muvizu set it's used. It's just telling you that. But it means that if I want to get rid of all those effects, I can just go Effects, select them all, and then delete. And there you go. It's a lot simpler to do that than try to hunt them all down. So I'll leave that there. I'll get rid of the bills. And get rid of the... No, I'll leave blob. I'll leave the blobs. Don't care about blobs. Sorry, this one was over there, yeah. So, we need somewhere to do that. Now, before I forget, you say it before you do anything else. Paste in. Now, you notice something. They paste in invisible. And the reason they do that is because the layer, like say, whenever you create a new character or anything, it goes to the background layer. But the background layer in this set, obviously, is not visible. Now it is. Because the background layer has very little in it, because I moved everything into the ship layer so that I could isolate everything from the background. Again, this is something that you have to know when you start. Otherwise, you have to do what I did, which is make the whole set, then go, oh crap, and then I had to select every single item and then move it across into a new layer. And no, you can't select them all and do it all in one go. You can with the same item if it's the identical items, but you can't do it with different items. Didn't work. The Brian layer, oh, that was the blob. Yeah, that was the Brian the blob layer over here, I think. You Brian? Are you Brian? Yeah, there you go. You're Brian. So I just delete that layer, and Brian will automatically drop back to the background layer. And you see, if you've got Brian now, it just drops back to the background. So deleting a layer does not delete its contents. A layer is a virtual thing. It doesn't actually hold anything. It only virtually holds something. The layers are only really to do with this bit here as to what you want to output. That's what the layers are really all about. Because you see, if I turn off that, all I've got is the background. The reason I did that is because I wanted to put my own sky in. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with this as well. I'm not going to use their sky, this sky, I'm going to use my own sky. Okay, so although that's essentially the whole thing about layers, really. That's when they become useful. Hopefully everybody can follow that. So, we need a place to stick these guys. Now you got to assume that you've spent hours building this set. Or you've downloaded a set, because obviously there's a lot of sets pre-made, so you could have done the same thing. You just make the characters, download somebody else's set, stick the characters in, and then get on with it. So Arthur was sitting down, looking there, so get him over there, get him, there's a rock he's sitting on, there you go. Nice size. Oh, no. Just got to prepare these actions and get him to sit. There you go. That's not bad. He's sitting on the rock. Get Marvin. Stick him over there. And of course I'm working with the lights turned off. I always work with the lights turned off until you need to work out your shadows and stuff. And you see it kind of clips through there. These look flat, but they're not. These are actually three-dimensional mounds that I've flattened down. If you look at I've just flattened them right down to nothing. Essentially, so they still have bumpiness, but it's very, very, very flat bumpiness. But they're not completely 100% flat, which is a bad thing. You never, unless you're going for metal floors or whatever. If you're outside, you never want a completely 100% flat, ground plane type floor, because it doesn't look very good. Take his foot out there so it doesn't clip. There you go. And move. Oh, wait. Here. Oh, here. There we are. Now you can hear in the original audio that Marvin moves about a bit because you can hear him clunking. So I think I'll have him moving about a few steps, maybe over there. Yeah, maybe there. That'd be right. So then you can have a shot there. You can see the both of them take a parallel each other, looking at the sunset. And again, another reason why I don't want to use the sky in here, because it's the seam. And I want to use that direction. So in fact, I'll get rid of that spaceship because it's distracting me now. We don't need the spaceship. Oops. Incidentally, these this looks like a fairly complicated set. It's not. There's only one of these, and then I just resized them all and put them in different directions. There's only one arch as well, and then I just again resized them and pointed them in different directions to make sure that not two of them, whatever direction you look at them, there's none of them that point in the same direction. They're all pointing away from each other, which makes it look like I've got more models on this set than I actually do. And you see there's this kind of stumpy one as well, like that, and there's another one over there, which again I've got pointing away from that one, so that when you see that shape, you can't see that shape over here because you're now pointing in the wrong direction. You've got to think about that ahead of time, is try and make sure your shapes, if you're duplicating shapes, make sure they're not all pointing in the same direction so that people can see it easily. Or frame it up, in such a way that people can't see that that's what you're doing. And the reason why the ground is green is just so I can see it through the, when I was putting my mountains in, I wanted to be able to see with the gaps that I'd missed, so that's why the ground is all that green colour. Just delete this ship. Get rid of that light. Complicated bloody ship. Release the lights. sides as well. Blobs everywhere on the set. Right, that's cleaned up. Okay, so that's alright. There's the camera. So I'm going to use this save as something else. Oh, it is. It's already saved as a separate one, but oh, yes, it's a different folder. I'm not overwriting the original because the original is a different folder, so that's fine. So, we already have an audio track in there from what we were doing earlier on. Which is another thing to do is when you are reusing a set, it's a good idea to go in and make sure you. Alright, I'm going to reset this. There is no tracks set apparently, so that's good. So there's no existing animation in here that's going to mess anything up because I've deleted anything that had any animation, like the effects or anything like that. And all the Spaceman builds, they would have had animation, but they've all been deleted. So there's no stray animation in here that's going to mess me up later on, which is good. Alright. And no audio either. That's going to mess me up. So, I'm going to do audio tracks. First one. And second one. Oh, come on, yeah. And then Marvin, you are Marvin. And you can check that. Right. Yeah, when I play this, it should automatically just work.
Night's falling. Look, Robot, the stars are coming out.
I know, wretched, isn't it?
But that's sunset.
Yeah, so, obviously we're not going to use this audio out of Muvizu at all. This is terrible. We're not going to use that. We're going to use the original audio that I played you the first time, and that's what we're going to use in the hit film as the soundtrack for this clip. We don't use these things here. These two audio tracks are just to make the mouth move. That's all they're for. You're not going to use this audio whatsoever. Also, the audio out of Muvizu is always distorted, and the reason why it's always distorted, in case you don't know, is because of that. The volume is always turned up to 100%, and that makes it distort. If you want to stop the output from Muvizu distorting, if you are going to use the audio, you have to turn that down to at least 75%, and then it won't distort. Okay, just a little tip there, because this is something I have no. I just leave it 100 because, like I say, I don't use the audio out of Muvizu anyway, so I don't care. But if your audio does distort, especially music, that's why. Just turn that down to 100%, from 100%, and your music will stop going. Well, will stop sounding like trash. We'll move that up a wee bit so we've got a wee bit leeway, and then just zoom in, make sure they're on the same frame. There you go, and that's it. They're lined up. That's what I like about that system. It's like it's dead easy to move the audio about as long as you keep them sticking together. It's fine. The timing.
Yeah.
I know, wretched, isn't it?
But that's sunset.
Yeah, the timing is fine. I don't know how loud that is for you, but I'm just going to check something. Check how loud that is coming out of OBS.
Look, Robot. The
Oof, wow, that is really loud. Hang on, I'll turn it down a bit. Because this will get really annoying as I'm going as I'm doing this. If that's really loud, hang on.
Night's falling.
Yeah, I'll turn it down a bit more. Okay.
Night's falling. Look, Robot. The stars are coming out.
Yeah. Is that too loud? I don't know. If that's too quiet, let me know. But I just want to get it quieter because when you're doing this and scrubbing back and forward and doing this over and over again, if it's set to very loud and anybody's out there listening to this with headphones on, it's going to drive them nuts. So I'll try to get the audio balance for you people out there a bit better. What are we doing? Is it like you get an echo on the audio as well? I'm not sure. If you are, I'll just put my headphones on, it's not a problem. Right, so that's actually not bad straight away. The sun's pointing in the wrong direction, but there you go. The sun in this instance is an actual light rather than a directional light. So what I'll do is, oh God's sake, it's very hard. And rather than try to drag that, I'm just going to cut that and paste it over here because that'd be a lot quicker. Over here, there we go. Give something that looks like a kind of sunset. Yay, it's not bad. There's so many different ways you can do lighting like this, but this is just the way I'm going to do it in this one. But there's no right way to do it, it just depends whatever looks good on camera, I suppose. And there you go, nice long shadows. Yeah, and then I'll put like, you know, the sun coming down in the hit film. I'll put like a sun going down just there, just making the sky really bright here to justify this. And that'll look alright. Maybe a wee bit too long on the shadows. So just move up a wee bit. There. Right. So remember that mountain. There you go. Okay. And now, save. And animate the thing. First thing I would always do is movement. Then actions, then head, then eyes. That's the kind of standard way of doing it. I've always found it makes sense doing it that way for various reasons, which she won't bore you with. But just do it that way.
Night's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
So first action there would obviously be him pointing at pointing at that, and then Marvin turning around to see what you're looking at, because you can hear him clunking even in there.
It's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
That pneumatic noise is Marvin turning around. So, and again you can hear that actually in the original. If I play the original.
Night's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
Yeah, just a continuous, and that's Marvin turning around or walking about. I think it was in the original shot. So, first action we want is pointing. Then he's fairly happy about it, so pose and then, alright, thanks. Would that be hand right then? Point right? Nope. No, point forward, sorry. There you go, point forward. That makes more sense, doesn't it? So, first action would be point forward. Next action would be what?
Night's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
Sorry.
That's sunset. I've never seen.
Right, I clicked off the window there.
That's sunset. I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams.
He'll be shaking his head at that point, I think, maybe looking down, something like that. I'm thinking it's you have to kind of visualise it in your head first. Kind of do a pass in your head first, imagine it first, then try and make Muvizu do it.
The two suns. It was like mountains of fire boiling into space.
I've seen it. It's rubbish.
We only had one sun, home. I came from a planet called Earth.
I know you keep going on about it. It sounds awful.
And so far, everything that in my head, everything's just head movements. This is another thing that people do in Muvizu that kind of bugs me. I mentioned this before. Is the flapping, the continuous flapping, continuously moving your arms all the time, every single second of the animation, moving your arms out. Don't do that. Less is better. Use as few actions as you can get away with. Do everything with head movements and eye movements. If that doesn't work, add motions. Don't have them flapping continuously. It looks terrible. And the number one worst offender for that, as we all know, is conversation 1 and 2. People use that over, over, over. Oh, God. Sorry. These things get to me. Sorry, where were we at?
Oh no. It was a beautiful place.
Did it have oceans?
Oh yes. Great big.
You see there, when you try to do it there, I can see him moving his hands out or something like that. So maybe, let's see, maybe, I think it'd be a happy pose, yeah, something like that. You know, just big wide oceans. So you talk about big wide oceans. So you could do arms out, but I think that's overstated it. That one, that everybody used that one. Stop using that one. Where was it now? Big wide oceans. Big wide oceans. So the one where he's shrugging, not so much, but that one, yeah, that looks right. Okay, so that's a big wide oceans, right?
Oh yes. Great big, wide, rolling blue oceans. Tell me, you get on well with other robots?
At that point, he'll change moods from obviously happy to angry. And then we'll change his eyebrows to match his angry state as he turns around to look at Marvin to say, do you get on well with other robots? Again, you don't need to use actions for any of this. You can do it with animating the eyebrows, animating the eyes, animating the head. You can do 90% of your animation just with that. You don't need the actions. I do wish people would lay off the bloody actions, especially considering you've got a very limited set of actions, you know. I mean, it's different with iClone or something where you can make your own actions, but in here you've got to use what you've got, and if you're going to use the same actions over and over again, people are going to get very bored looking at your film. They're going to say, I've seen that action 10 times already, I'm leaving. I've certainly done that, I tell you that.
Tell me, you get on well with other robots?
See, Marvin doesn't have to do it. Literally, Marvin will do no actions apart from turning around. That's all he's going to do. He's going to shuffle about, and that's it. That's his only actions. Arthur will do a couple of hand gestures, the rest head and eyes. And that's it. That's how basically I prep it in a sense. That's how I go through it. So I'll go back to the start, and then actually records roughly. Again, like I say, the timing doesn't matter. Roughly, and I'm going to record those two. And point forward, idle. Two hands, idle. Yeah, I don't care where it happens. Doesn't matter. I just know that's the actions I need. So, done. That's my actions, right? And then all I need to do is move them to match what he's talking about. When I first got this program, I did used to try and get try and sit there and wait and try and get the timing right. And God, what was I doing? I wasn't thinking straight, you know.
Look, robots, the stars are coming out.
Right, so it'll be as he says, look robot. Okay.
It's falling. Look, robots, the stars are coming out.
And stop pointing there.
Look, robots, the stars are coming out.
There you go. So that's one action done, and then the next one. Oh no, hang on. We're talking oceans here. Where's that?
Why?
Way, so big wide. I think for a little bit there.
Oh yes. Great big.
A bit too early. Sorry, perfections.
Oh yes. Great big. Why?
Yeah.
Great big.
No.
Big.
No. Has to be on big, but
Great big. Wide. Rolling.
and then he stops right there. So we get that idle. Yeah, I think.
Oh yes. Great big. Wide. Rolling blue oceans.
No, that would do. So there you go. It's the two actions done, and then, and again, you know, so I'm concentrating on one character at a time. You don't try and do all the characters all the. You drive yourself nuts doing that. Back to the start, and then do his head. We've got a wee bit of lead up here, which is good. And the reason why I always have a lead up, and usually actually when I'm doing a proper animation, I'll always leave at least 30 seconds of a lead up. The reason is because some of the actions, like if you want like a good, lying down pose, some of the military actions are great at the end of the action, and he's lying in a particular pose. But to get to that action, you've got to let the animation play out, and that can take a while. It can take 10-15 seconds for some of these actions. So that's why it's a good idea to leave a good bit of trail, to leave yourself some room to have an action trigger, end, and then you get that end pose that you can then use, because then obviously your starting point would be maybe here, and that's when you're actually going to start the movie, you know. But on this one, I know I'm not going to. This is just a test, so we're not going to bother with it. But always remember to leave a gap at the start. Don't put your audio bang at 0. Always give yourself a gap. Always. So directing his head. Again, straightforward. If you're directed heads and eyes, straightforward, you got that. And again, you do this all in one go. Always best to keep it going. Don't stop. So again, turn it down to less than 10. I recommend around 7 is good for humans. Unless it's a human on speed or something like that, and put it to, whatever you like. But about 7s usually works for me. Still a bit fast, but that's because I haven't turned my sensitivity down on my mouse. Turn that down as well. There you go, get nice fluid. Yeah, that's the right. Now you can rehearse it. You can just sit here and play with it until you get the right kind of speed. You think, yeah, that matches what I want. Yeah. That's good. That looks okay. That looks human. This is my thing about Muvizu, is I always try to make it look human. Right. So now we've got to do now, and again, you don't have to get this right first time. All you have to do is get it roughly right, and then you can change the timing later. Let's go. Yeah, looking at the sunset, thinking, wow, look at that.
Night's falling. Look, lots of stars are coming out.
Wretched, isn't it?
That's sunset. I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like mountains of fire boiling into space.
I've seen it. It's rubbish.
We only had one sun, Home. I came from a planet called Earth.
I know if you keep going on about it, it sounds awful.
Oh no. It was a beautiful place.
Did it have oceans?
Oh yes. Great big, wide, rolling blue oceans.
Come there, oceans.
Tell me, you get on well with other robots?
Hate them.
You know, so I was keeping quiet there because I was concentrating. It's hard to do. It's really hard to do, to concentrate and keep your mouse held down and all that kind of stuff. So let's see what we got. So again, there's a long lead up there, but that's fine. I just let him sit there. Back from the start.
Night's falling. Look, lots of stars are coming out.
No, that's okay.
Wretched, isn't it?
That's sunset. I've never seen.
So that's too early. Again, I knew I started the head shake anticipating he was going to say that, but then when he didn't, I didn't stop. I just kept the head shake because I know I can just move it. I can just move it to match. You have to worry about your timing.
I've never seen anything like that.
It should be shaking his head just slightly before he says it.
I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like mountains of fire boiling into space.
I've seen it. It's rubbish.
We only had one sun, Home. I came from a planet called Earth.
I know if you keep going on about it, it sounds awful.
Oh no. It was a big...
Don't know about that one. Zoom it a wee bit, makes it a wee bit. Sometimes it's easier to move in, sometimes not.
It sounds awful.
Oh no. It was a beautiful...
Let's see what we do. So that's...
Oh no. It was a beautiful place.
Did it have oceans?
Oh yes. Great big, wide, rolling blue oceans.
You notice I resisted the temptation there to nod his head when he said yes, because he doesn't need to, because he said yes. You tend to nod when you don't say yes. You know what I mean? Or you nod more when you don't say yes. If you say yes, you don't need to nod. But that's a human thing.
Oh yes. Great big, wide, rolling blue oceans.
Come there, oceans.
And of course, he has to respond to him saying that.
Tell me.
A wee bit quick, so sure.
Tell me.
So you just like,
Tell me, you get on well with other robots.
Hate them.
okay, that's fine. So the only thing we're missing then really is action for the, annoyed at the end. Okay, so like I say, you keep it going though, and next thing, eyes. I won't start all the way to the start this time. I don't need that much lead up. Again, turn my sensitivity down. And remember to let go of the mouse occasionally.
Night's falling. Look, lots of stars are coming out.
Wretched, isn't it?
That's sunset. I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like mountains of fire boiling into space.
I've seen it. It's rubbish.
We only had one sun, Home. I came from a planet called Earth.
I know if you keep going on about it, it sounds awful.
Oh no. on well without a robot.
Again, some of that was well wrong, well off, but that's okay. Make us probably fix it. Okay. Oh crap! Didn't mean to turn that off. So, eye movements are tricky to coordinate with the head movements because you don't know what the head movements are doing. There's no feedback or anything to tell you what the head movements are about to do. So you have to kind of guess, second guess yourself, and then go back and fix it. You see what I mean?
Night's falling. Look, robots, the stars are coming out.
His head's a bit mechanical when he turns there. I could redo that one.
Night's falling. Look, robots, the stars are coming out.
Wretched, isn't it?
That's sunset.
Yeah, got his eyes up there because he's looking at the stars. He's not really paying attention to Marvin.
I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like mountains of fire boiling into space.
I've seen it. It's rubbish.
We only had one sun, home.
Move that bit closer.
It is rubbish.
We only had one sun, home. I came from a planet called Earth.
I know he's going about it. It sounds awful.
Oh no. It was a beautiful place.
Oceans.
Oh yes. Great big, wide, rolling blue oceans.
Yeah, that's too early. I tell you, you're going to be sick of that. You'll be totally sick of that sample by the time I finish with it, because you'll play this over and over and over again hundreds of times if you're doing this properly. You're only going to hear it dozens of times, not hundreds, but... No, mate.
Tell me, you get on well without a robot.
The other thing I want to do there just occurred to me is I want his eyes to narrow at that point. At that point there, his eyes should narrow as he's looking at him. Which she did actually in the original TV one. Directives. Eye size. I have a feeling that a lot of Muvizu users don't even know this thing exists, eye size, because I've never seen anybody use it except me and one or two other people. I don't know why. It's very handy because, again, emotion. You get so much more emotion just doing that. Again, you don't need all these actions, you just use the head. Most people's emotions are conveyed by their head, not their hands flapping about. So, now this one actually, I would usually use keyframing for this one because it's a lot easier than doing it manually, but not everybody has the keyframing add-on, so I'm not going to use any keyframing on this at all. I'll do a separate stream about keyframing or something maybe, I don't know. Anyway, his eye size is fine for the rest of it, it's just the last bit I want him to narrow his eyes. That's all you need to do. And you see, eye size has now got its own track here. So it should do it at the same time as he's looking around and at the same time as he's moving his eyes. Yeah, it's not bad. And like I say, the last thing I've got to do is I've got to change his attitude to angry. Oh, the angry idol's right there, perfect. Alright, okay, so I just need to switch to direct. And at this point here, when he turns around, give him an angry idol. Or at any point I can move it. So let's just give it there you go. Makes him a bit more uptight. So now that looks.
Tell me, you get on well without a robot.
Bit much on the expression. But that's because his expression is set quite high. And this is again another thing I don't think anybody understands about Muvizu is you're going to animate the expression. His expression slider isn't fixed to that for the entire clip. I mean, you can vary that. And again, you can get more out of the expression, you get more of the performance out of the character by animating that. But of course the question is, how do you animate that? And I don't recall there actually being a tutorial as to how you animate that. So I shall show you. Prepare the character properties. There's Gordon. And then you go to the track that you want to animate, which in this case is expression or texture, like for his eyebrows, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I want to animate his expression. Again, I've got the keyframing pack, so I've got the keyframing option, which is great, and I would love to use that, but I can't. because not everybody's got that. So stick with directed, which everybody's got. You can set the initial value of what it will be. So the default will be whatever you want. So I can have them really happy or mid-happy or whatever. So we'll have them reasonably happy to start with, right? Switch to direct. And it's exactly the same as all the other things. As you move that up, it records, and then you can come back later and move them about. So you don't have to get it perfect first time. Just roughly what you need. Okay. So, record. Let's clap again. It's happy, happy, happy.
Night's falling. Look, robot, the stars are coming out.
Oh, wretched is it?
But that sunset. I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like mountains of fire boiling to space.
I've seen it. It's rubbish.
We only had one sun, KAM. I came from a planet called Earth.
I know you keep going on about it. It sounds awful.
Oh no. It was a beautiful place.
Did it have oceans?
Oh yes. Great big, wide, rolling blue oceans.
Come there, oceans.
Tell me, you get on well with other robots?
Hate them.
Oh crap. Nah, see now there's the problem there with the expression one, when you do it directed, is you don't get any gaps. Which means I have to go with the live performance. If I was doing it keyframed, I would get the little individual frames and then
No. It was a beautiful place.
that looks okay, I think.
Did it have oceans?
Oh yes. Great big, wide, rolling blue oceans.
Come there, oceans.
Tell me, you get on well with other robots?
Hate them.
So there you go. Now that's fair enough for the expression. Now, like I say, I can also change his texture. Exactly the same procedure. Go up, prepare, character properties. This time I want to animate his custom texture. I want to direct it, and what it does is it gives you the initial costume that he's got on, which is always the default, and then whichever texture you want to use to replace it. You only get 9 for every character in the set, which is not very good. If you use keyframing pack, then you can have basically as many as you like, which is good. But like I say, we're doing directed, we only need the one anyway. So what we'll do is we go back to... no, not yet. Don't need you anymore. Go back to this, and then we change his eyebrows to angry. There you go, angry, turn off default. There you go, and then export that. So it is PNG. And where did I put the other one there? So Arthur. Go angry. There you go. We don't need that anymore, I don't think. Yeah, whatever. Yes, go again. Right, so. So in the second slot, when he gets angry, we want the angry texture, which is identical to the other texture. The only difference, literally the only difference, is the eyebrow position. That's the only difference. To make it change, you go to direct, get to the bit you want it to change, and then just click on it when you want it to change. Like so.
Tell me, you get on.
Now, so that's the wrong timing, but that's fine because I can. There's the keyframe there. And this isn't using the keyframe. That's just how it works. Even normally, when you direct it, it creates a keyframe, and that keyframe marks where it changes from one texture to a different texture. And you can do that with 9 different textures, which means you can actually animate it frame by frame and actually have animated eyebrows, which is what I did with Samush. The characters actually have eyebrows with 2 or 3 positions per move, if you know what I mean. So they actually appear to have fairly fluid eyebrows that actually move and animate, sort of. It's a bit of a kludge, a bit of a workaround, but it works. It works for me. It certainly works better on those stupid floating things, anyway, tell you that. Dude, that expression is way too much. Way too much anger.
Tell me, you get on well with other robots?
So that We'll say that's fine for his performance, okay? That'll do just now. So that's the, I suppose, the raw version. The version 1 I would call that of my performance, and then I would go over it and over it to fine tune it and refine it and da. But essentially this is how to build a Muvizu film.
Night's falling. Look, Robot, the stars are coming out.
I know, wretched, isn't it?
But that sunset. I've never seen anything like it in my wildest dreams. The two suns. It was like mountains of fire boiling into space.
I've seen it. It's rubbish.
We only had one sun,
Why
Helen.
does that make me laugh every time?
I came from a planet called Earth.
I know, you keep going on about it. It sounds awful.
Oh no. It was a beautiful place.
Did it have oceans?
Oh yes. Great big, wide, rolling blue oceans.
Compare oceans.
Tell me, you get on well with other robots?
Hate them.
Okay. The expression's a bit overdone in there, and again I would go to keyframing and I would do it a lot more subtly, but that essentially is how you get a performance out of a Muvizu character. The tutorials, the default tutorials that Muvizu gave you didn't really do this. It didn't really show you this, it didn't really tell you about this in this way. This is how I do it. Like I said at the very start, this is how I do it. And I would recommend you do it this way, because otherwise you're going to give yourself a lot of headaches. This makes things simpler in a lot of ways, and once you get into doing it this way, every character, you know, because like you say, I've now done this, and he's done. That's it. I can just now move on to Marvin, start letting him do exactly the same thing. I can change his texture, I can change the emotional level by getting up to there, prepare character properties. Like, yeah, I can do the same thing. He's got slightly less things you can change because he's a robot, obviously. So there's slightly different options there. But that is a very, very powerful part of Muvizu, which a lot of people don't understand, is this, the preparing the properties part. Object properties as well. You can do a lot of things in changing the properties of an object over time, like changing the colours or whatever. Like that plant there, if I wanted to change what texture it used over time, I can do that. You know, I can animate that. I can have image 1, you know, as in its texture, and I can have it directed. So obviously at the moment it's that. And I can have it changing it different colours, I can have it animated so that the, you know, this mouth actually animates, so it actually moves over a few frames. Again, it's a bit tedious because what you'd have to do is you'd have to have each frame of the mouth opening and closing, and then, you know, record to click, 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 and then move the frames together to get you a smooth animation. If you wanted to loop it, you'd have to repeat that over and over again because you can't copy and paste. So there is some limitations to that approach, but it's good to know that this sort of thing is in here. And again, the Muvizu tutorials don't really get into all this kind of stuff. This is much, it's not really advanced stuff, it's just that the program is capable of a lot more than what it appears to be able to do on the surface. Because on the surface it's pretty simple, it's pretty childish in a lot of ways, but it's got a lot more power than you realise. There's a lot of stuff in here that people don't utilise. This is what this point of this stream was, to show you the stuff that people are not utilising and not getting the best out of it. You know, getting the performance out of your dude is what you should be doing. Don't animate the dude, get a performance out of him. There's a big difference. I know it might not seem that way, but it really is a difference to have a performance rather than simply give a character a few actions and hope for the best. You got to sit and look at him in isolation. That's why I wasn't looking at Marvin. I was just looking at him, make sure he's right. Because what you're going to see is him like that through the camera. You know, there's going to be a close-up on him. So he has to look right on close-up all the way through that sequence. Even when Marvin's talking, he has to look the part. He has to give a performance that lasts the full 45 seconds or whatever. Not just the bits when he's talking. Which is another mistake people make, is they only animate the bits they think you're going to see. No, you animate the whole thing start to finish. It doesn't matter whether anybody's going to see it or not. Also, you don't know what you're going to film initially. You know, I haven't even set up the cameras yet, really, apart from that basic one. I don't know where I'm going to set the cameras up. I have no idea. I don't know if that's going to be the final lighting. I don't know. I do the animations first, look at it, and then adjust everything around the animation, because the performance is what you're trying to capture. It's not the set. I mean, it's not the set or the lighting or any of this stuff. That's not what you're trying to capture. It's this performance from this dude is what you're trying to capture, so that when people watch your video, they'll go, oh, this is engaging. This is a human. This is not some, you know, crappy talking head. This is actually a person in a sense. I mean, obviously he's not a person, but you know what I mean. It has a personality more than simply a talking head with a couple of actions thrown on it, which is what, sadly, most Muvizu films consist of, if we're honest about it. Which is why I'm on a crusade to get everybody to be better. And use all this stuff up here. Go through every single option. I mean, literally, go through every single option and work out what every single thing does. Especially in the prepare one. This one is so important, this one. Go through every single one and work out what every single option does, and you will increase your movie making abilities tenfold, 100-fold, honestly. It makes such a difference. The last thing I wanted to cover then, because obviously then you just render this out, different layers, like I say, I would have the sky turned off. Like so. There you go. Oh, why did that happen? Because they're in the background layer. They are not in the ship layer, they are in the background layer, so put them into the correct layer. There you go. There you go. So they're there and there's no background, or the background is there but it'll be just a transparency. So that in hit film I can then put in whatever background I want, you know. Okay, forgot you stuff there. So in hit film I can render it out and I can put in whatever background I like with stars on it and moving things and light flares, and I can go to town. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here you could use, you know, I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So, oh, there's another one thing. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention. Because this is something else people have problems with. Let me just move the camera. Does help you have that open so you see what you're doing. There you go. Okay, so there's our shot, say, for talking sake, right? And we're going to render it out like so. Okay? I'll move it, I'll make it bigger so you can see it. There you go. No, I can't turn off. So we're going to do the image sequence as you normally would. And obviously turn the lighting on, but I'm just leaving it off just now, just to keep the performance up. The depth pass, as I showed you in the hit film tutorials, is to do with if you're going to use depth of field externally to Muvizu, which is very recommended, because the depth of field Muvizu is okay, but it slows down your render times by quite a lot, and it's not the best depth of field. And also, if you wanted to animate the depth of field in here, then you can do it, but again, if it's wrong, you have to go back and re-render the whole thing. If you use a depth pass, it means you've got a depth pass, which you can take it in hit film, and then you can change the depth of field in here, in hit film, as and when you like. You can animate it and do it all in here. And it means that you can change it at will, you don't have to re-render anything. So that's what the depth pass is. Again, if you watch the hit film tutorials that I did, I go more into it in there. The cutout occluders are to do with, as you see, it appears to make no difference. What it does is, at the moment, when it renders this, how do I put this? These guys here, oh, in fact, I can show you what I have to do is I'll make a new layer, not make it easier, make it more obvious. I'll make a new layer. We'll call it front, because that's the front layer, and we'll move them to the front. Okay, so essentially we've got three layers. We've got a background layer, we've got the ship layer, which is the entire set. Because I changed plans halfway through, obviously. And then you got the front layer. And the front layer consists only of our two dudes. Go to the video. Again, it looks much the same, but now we have our guys isolated, okay? When it's rendering, right, what it's going to do is it's going to render that, and then it's going to render those guys, right? If, on the other hand, you have the occluders turned off, what it will do is it will render the background, but these guys, it will leave it will leave a robot-shaped black hole where that layer was for both of them. It will just leave a black mask, which is handy sometimes if you want to create masks, which is what the cutout occluder can be used for. It's the only thing it can be used for, as far as I know. It can also sort out certain problems with effects and stuff, but usually speaking, you'd leave that turned on. There's not, again, like I say, if you're going to make a mask and stuff, it's worth experimenting with it, and that's how you see it in action. create 2 layers and put one front of the other, and then try it, render it out with the cutout occluders turned on, and then try it again with it turned off, and you'll see the difference immediately. It makes more sense if you do it yourself, essentially, and I haven't got time to do it myself. Yeah, so that is that. Hang on, let me just check something. Right there, so I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, the fake hands. The fake hands. Yes. I'll leave that for a different tutorial because that's a whole different thing all in itself, the fake hands. Yeah. Flat layers is just basically, yeah, if you don't want to have these out as 3 separate layers, you don't want 3 different folders getting generated, you just want that as it is, with a black, or you just want to say that, and that's all you want. You don't want layers, you don't want anything, you just want a flat image. You just do that. And what that means is you're going to create, it still looks the same, but what you're doing is you're creating one image sequence, not 3 image sequences. Because if that, at the moment it's creating 3 image sequences, 3 folders full of, movie, essentially. Full of movie? That makes no sense. It creates 3 movies, essentially. 3 layers. Or if you turn on flatten layers, you create 1 movie. Just this. Exactly. What you see is what you get if you turn on flatten. If you turn it off, you get your 3 separate distinct layers. Rendered as 3 separate distinct layers. So that, again, that's pretty straightforward. Anti-aliasing is just sharpness. There is no advantage for flattened layers. It's just a convenience thing that we asked that we put in, because sometimes, especially if you're doing a quick test render, you don't want all those different layers. Because you don't. I mean, a lot of times I'll do a test render with the lighting turned off just to see how it looks, and I think about the motion test to make sure all the motions work out and stuff. So I don't want all the layers rendered, so I have to go and recompile it, and you're going to hit film. I just want literally what I can see there rendered out as one image, or one image sequence, essentially, just that, not him rendered as a separate layer, and this is a separate, and the background is a separate. It's not an advantage thing. It's more just about just convenience more than anything else. Most of the time, like I say, you'll not use it. It's one of those things that you can just ignore. Most of these things you can leave on default. Except Death Pass, you should use that, it's great. Anti-aliasing is just to do with the sharpness, the kind of jaggies at the edge, which obviously you'd always want to have turned on, unless your machine is a potato, in which case I suppose you can turn it off, but then everything will look jaggy and horrible. And, right. And that is us. What I'll do is I'll continue on, and I'll finish the animation, and I'll post it up on somewhere to link to this video to show people kind of the finished video or what I did with it, because I'm not going to sit here and do it all, because I'll be here for another 2 or 3 hours. Don't want to keep you. So I will show how it finishes later. I shall render it all out and do Marvin and do the whole thing, and make it a bit more subtle looking. But is there anything else you want to ask now before I call it a stream? I like these. These are good. They take the light really well. The shadows. Nice. Big shadow in front of him. Move him over there. That's better. Yeah. I'm trying to think, there's something else that people always seem to have problems with. I can't remember what it is. What is that again? Is it the snapping? Just forget it. Does not work as advertised, really. Kinda does. If you're starting to set from absolute scratch and you actually remember to turn that on, it can kind of help you. Otherwise, no. It snaps to its own degrees and you can't change it. So you have to use that to begin with, or not at all. Yeah, this is great. Object movement and stuff like that. I don't think that I can't remember anything else. Well, there's one other thing. Is see if you want to get if you want to get that camera right. Yeah, I'm going to spit it about more videos. Well, like I say, this is the end of this stream. I'm not going to continue on with the other stuff that I'm going to do with it, because hopefully anybody watching this can get the idea that this is Because basically I went from the scratch essentially to get to this point, more or less, apart from building the set and doing the finer details of his UV, but essentially you should get the idea. And the dialogue I think would help people. But also the other thing is, how do you you can move this camera about, right? And you do all that kind of stuff, but how do you rotate the camera? How do you get it to tilt, slanted? How do you get it to tilt? And that was a weird thing, it took me a while to work out, because what you have to do is you've got to prepare camera movement, even though you're not going to move it. Oh, shit. Go to directed. And even though you're not going to move it, and here's the only place you can do that. See? So there you go. And then go back, and then you can do whatever you're going to do. But that's the only way you can roll the camera, is to actually let it prepare direction and then roll the camera. That's the only way you can do it. It's weird. But just in case anybody's wondering how you do it, that's how you do it. And again, you can prepare again camera movement, and then you can animate that over time and all this kind of stuff. Just like you could with anything else. You just go to direct, and then you do your thing, and and there's all this kind of stuff. The cameras are their own kind of wee system, but that's fairly straightforward, I think, because you can only do what the cameras let you do, up to a point. And this other stuff in here about the cameras, the motion blur, depth of field. Again, I think maybe we'll do that in a separate stream. I'll take notes and I'll come back to a separate stream and explain all this stuff as well. Because some of this is very handy as well. Some of this is kind of like the effects you get in hit film, actually, because you've got, the camera shake is a really handy one. Especially again if you animate that over time. And you can get explosions and stuff like that, boom. Or if they're driving along in a car, you can get a little vibration and stuff like that. It's just very handy. These overlay effects don't get used much, which is a shame because they are very handy. And the underwater one as well. Just gives you a nice, again, it's a nice heat distortion effect, which is nice if you've got a desert or something. And if I was doing this as a daytime set, you could put that on it and that would give you a nice ripple. The only problem with the effects is it tends to mess up the depth of field if you're doing a depth pass. So you got to kind of take the good with the bad, really. CCTV cameras. Again, there's a lot of cool stuff in here that nobody ever uses because nobody knows it's there. Oh, that's too pixelated. A nice Minecraft effect, I suppose. That looks like a Commodore 64. Actually, that's exactly what a Commodore 64 looked like. Just like that. That was the resolution you used to get. 320 by 200. Or something like that. Anyway. If there's nothing else, I shall stop now. Because I've been going now for 2 hours 47 minutes. Okay. It's a long time. This didn't lose my voice this time, which is good. So, is there anything else? Oh, God. No? Why does it always drop when I do that? Yeah, flat layers, yeah. There's no real advantage, like I say. It's just a convenience thing, it's nothing else. So anyway, to everybody who's here today, everybody here is Pat Maurer, of course, and Frank, and 2 Minute Gospel. I don't know who that is, it's a pseudonym for somebody else. And Doc, of course. And anybody else who's going to watch this in the future, and anybody else who has to watch this because they get to the the translations, hello. And I hope you found that educational and helpful. And like I say, I'll do another one about some of the other stuff that I didn't get to cover today. Because, when you do this kind of stuff, this is when you realise just how much stuff there is in Muvizu. There's a lot of stuff in here that, again, people are not using. And half of that is simply because they don't know it's there. If it's not their fault, they just don't know it's there. There's no tutorials or anything to really show them anymore in the same way there used to be. Yeah. So I will try and do more of these and try and show more examples of stuff like this, practical examples. This is why I did this, because I thought rather than just showing you how it works, I would actually do a practical example, so I would run into the same sort of problems you're likely to do yourself, or anybody is likely to do with Muvizu. It's quite a forgiving program, but you just got to kind of roll with it a bit, and you'll get decent results out of it, usually. Anyway, I'm just going to close this down. There we go. So, I just prep my OBS. I've been trying to get better with my OBS. I shouldn't tell you really. I should be all professional and not tell you these things, but I've been trying to get better with my OBS and try and get slicker at the intros and outros. So I'll try this again, because I cocked this up last week, so I'll try this again, try a nice slick exit here this time. Okay, so Goodbye, everybody. Yeah, that's there. I see, now I'm talking over it. That's not good. Yeah, I'll shut down the mic. Bye. Bye.